Right, we should be live. We're just waiting for the old stream to kick in. How long does it normally take with these things? Does it should be live now, shouldn't it?
Oh, I've got no idea, mate.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we are live. Okay, sweet. All right,
Yeah,
guys.
it says we're live. Yeah,
Yeah,
it says
cool.
we're live.
Okay, guys. So welcome to Sega Sessions. Usually we've got Pete as well with us, but it's his birthday today, so he couldn't make it, unfortunately. So happy birthday, Pete! If you are watching at a later date, mate. Um, so we've got Big Rob, 2D champion Rob. Uh, very worthwhile substitute. And obviously tonight we're just going to be discussing Mega Drive Run and Guns, aren't we?
Yes, we
So
are.
yeah, cool, man. So Rob, I suppose what we'll do, we'll just get started off because I haven't done one of these for a while, so I'm going to be quite rusty, I'd imagine. But yeah, I'll just go through with what I've roughly been playing recently because obviously I very rarely do pickups videos now, and I do pick up a few bits here and there, but it's mostly just enjoying YouTube more, viewing it rather than kind of actually adding to it, really. So the first one I've got was I've got Truxton, and
Nice. I have
yeah,
that. Yeah.
this is actually boxed and complete as well. The cartridge is in the Mega Drive. Um, Managed to get this for a really good price on Facebook Market, not Marketplace, just Facebook, one of the Facebook Sega groups. It paid 60 quid for this,
Okay.
which probably seems quite a
Oh
lot.
wow.
Yeah, but this is going for like 100, 120 quid on eBay these days.
It's. Do you know what? It is insane. Like to me, the prices of how they've gone up. Because I'm, like, as you probably know, like when I first came into YouTube, I came in as a Mega Drive collector back in 2010, 2011, and like I remember picking up Truxton for like a tenner back
Really?
then. Like so it's crazy to me, yeah. So like it's crazy to me that how much it's gone up since, because back then, Super Nintendo was already pretty pricey because Nintendo cardboard,
Yeah.
but Mega Drive games, they were still very affordable, and then all of a sudden it's like in the past, I don't know, like 8 years or so, like it's just shot up like dramatically,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
It's all.
I mean,
I think.
I was gonna say there were some games that were always expensive, like your Punishers and your Alien Soldiers, but the most of them could be had for like £30 or less.
Yeah.
You know,
I think.
it's crazy.
Yeah, because I do a lot of the CX purchasing through Mega Drive, and I've been doing that for nearly probably 5 years now. And I've got a lot of my old receipts from when I got them originally in CX, and
Mm,
I picked up like the Hyperstone Heist for like 45 quid. Whereas now, I think that's like £150 game on CX.
yeah,
The problem with it is it's always the roulette, isn't it? And it's getting so hard to return stuff to CX now, where there are rumours that they put blocks on accounts if you return too much, and obviously they're taking so many photos before sending retro stuff out, so it's a bit of a turn off. But yeah, the price of stuff is just
yeah. But like I say, like if they're making more of an effort to accurately describe things,
yeah,
and like because the thing is before they didn't really have much of an option, because a lot of the times their prices do not reflect the condition. It just says the game and the price,
mm,
and I don't like that. I've never liked that, because they'll say a game is boxed, for example. They could be boxed in lovely condition, it can be boxed in like absolute crap condition, but the price remains the same. I don't
yeah.
like that. And that to me is what always has been a turn off in terms of doing these CEX roulettes and stuff. I mean, I have done them in the past, but I just in the early days
I
it
think
probably wasn't so bad. But I just felt that people
mm,
kind of came to realize that CEX can be used as a dumping ground for all their sort of doubles and their really shitty condition copies and stuff. And then you've got your other people like your chancers who are like, trading off their games but keeping the manuals so that they can sell them off later on because they know they can make a profit on that as well. So that
yeah,
that to me also became a turn off, because you know that a vast majority of the games that are being sold on CEX don't have their manuals, and it's just like a real and it's being done on purpose as well. Like it's not just
Yeah,
that people are handling games without manuals. They're purposely leaving out the manuals when they're trading them in. And I don't like that either.
yeah. I think it's quite weird how you got a situation now, certainly on Super Nintendo, that you've some of the manuals are probably more expensive than the actual games.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, really,
But
because I
but
suppose.
but but CX did it to themselves because they don't in a lot of cases they don't add any amount to you if it comes with the manual or not. So for the person trading it in, it's worth keeping the manual because they know they can make a profit on that later on.
Yeah, 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 but yeah. So you got to play the game with them. You got to play the game. I picked up this from the London Retro Market. I won't go through all what I picked up from the market, but Total Carnage. We'll see. This is the
That's a one-on-one fighter, isn't it?
Smash TV.
All right. So you from my end, it looks like you're cutting out. I don't know if it's you or it's me. So
Oh, there you go. It's a little bit
uh,
clear.
did you say it's like Smash TV? I was
Yeah.
under the impression that was like a I thought it was like a one-on-one fighter. Or am
No,
I
this is
wrong with
like
it?
to be honest, I didn't really know too much about it, but somewhere I've read somewhere that it's the unofficial sort of sequel to Smash TV.
Oh
It's
right,
very
okay.
good though. It's more like Shock Troopers rather than clearing an area, like clearing a one screen. It's consistently moving, but I got this for 20 quid, which was a really good price. It's missing the manual,
I'll
but it's
have to.
pop for,
Okay.
for a SNES game.
Yeah. Well, 20 quid for a box Super Nintendo game, regardless if it has a manual, is a very good price, especially nowadays.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can still get them. And finally, I've been smashing this as well. Sleeping Dogs.
Nice, nice. I've
Absolutely.
been meaning to play that. I've got that digitally on my PS4, but I've just not had a chance to play it yet.
You not played it at all?
Nah, I haven't. No. I mean,
Oh, mate.
like to be honest with you, like with those open world games, like I really need to like put time aside for them. Like I really need to be in the mood for them.
Yeah,
But I don't know why. Every time I get in the mood for it, I just end up putting Grand Theft Auto on again. I sort of like yeah. I'm currently going through GTA 6
yeah,
again, and I put a good few hours into it. Like this is actually probably my second time playing it. Like I don't know why. I don't play it consistently. I just sort of play it for like hours, and then I'll drop it for like about 3 weeks, and then I'll pick it up again.
yeah,
So I sort of play it like that.
yeah.
But yeah, those are great games though.
Yeah, the beauty with Sleeping Dogs is it doesn't overstay its welcome. You can do it in about 15 hours,
Oh,
or you can
cool.
do all the side quests and blow it up to 50 if you want. But if you just want to stick to the main story, whereas something
Mm.
like Red Dead, regardless if you want to do the side quests, the fishing and getting all the bounties and all that, even if you just do the story, that's still going to take you 50 plus hours to do. So it's just not as approachable, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely play Sleeping Dogs. It's a absolutely outstanding game, and it's a real shame because it didn't sell too
Oh,
well, and it led to the
yeah.
bankruptcy of the developer.
I'd heard a lot of good things about the game. That's actually why I downloaded it. I saw it was available for cheap on sale or something. That's why I downloaded it. So I'd heard nothing but good things, so I thought I'd pick it up, but just not
Yeah,
got around to it. But I'll
yeah,
say this: what I've been playing, um, is this game has honestly been an absolute joy to play, and it reminds me of my childhood, and I've just been loving it to bits. And that is uh, Super Mario Wonder.
ah, lovely. Yeah,
Um, yeah. Been really into this game. Again, like I've just been put like when I play it, like I'm hours into it now. Like I've been putting a lot of time into it, but I'm taking my time with it as well. Like I'm not trying to rush through it. I'm just sort of like trying to find all the secret levels, try to find all the secret items and stuff. And yeah, this game has been an absolute joy, man. Yeah, just a lot of creativity in this game. Like that there's something about that classic Nintendo feel
mm,
that it's why I love Nintendo so much. because like it doesn't matter what console you go for, there's just nothing like a Nintendo game.
Yeah. How does it like diverge from the new Super Mario Brothers? Because I suppose that is it's kind of just a sequel to the was it the new Wii U one, wasn't it? That was the
It's
last one.
it's yeah, it has more of a unique concept in this game. For one thing, they completely reworked the art style.
Yeah.
The Mario, Luigi, and all the other characters, like their sprites have been completely reworked. They're much more animated, much more cartoon-like. There's much more life to them, and some of the level designs are really cool because essentially what sort the gimmick of this game is, like when you find this sort of secret item, the level will like warp and change completely, and like things will like come to life, like so like the pipes and stuff will come to life, and it's crazy. It's absolute chaos, like how it sort of turns out, and it's there's just a lot of stuff that I've not seen before in a prior Mario game that actually works. It feels fresh, and but still retains, because that's the thing. Because the trick is you want to bring in enough new things to the game, but you don't want to change the game completely where it feels like a completely different game. And I think
Yeah.
they've managed to strike a nice balance because the level designs are just as fun as ever, very creative. Visually, it's been overhauled, so it doesn't look like new Super Mario Brothers. But it still retains a lot of those classic elements that were in previous games, like the flagpole and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a very cool, fun, challenging game at times, but a game that's great for everybody. So from young kids to adults, you're like everyone will find. It works for different skill levels. That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
And there are characters that you can pick. So like if you're a small child, you can pick a character who is practically invincible, so they're able to whisk their way through the levels and get some fun out of it. Whereas for
Mm.
people like me and you who are a bit more seasoned, there are characters for us as well where there's a lot more complexity. Also, like the Mario gets new moves and stuff, so you can actually get new abilities, and you can pick different abilities depending on what you want to do. So there's a lot in here. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
there's some it's a bit of a dirty word when it comes to a platform game, but I know it will scare off a few people. But there's some light RPG elements. I know that scares away some people when they hear that, but it's not as deep as it sounds. It just means all that means is that you have like a menu and you can pick your special abilities prior to taking part in the level, so that Mario can do different things each time, and I think it makes it a lot more fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
loving this game.
That's it's definitely
And
quite.
also, I gotta say,
Oh, go on,
go
mate.
on.
So, go on.
No. What are you gonna say? It's fine.
Did you get the Sonic Superstars as well?
No, I have not actually. I think that game is too expensive for what it is.
Mm.
So I've just been waiting for it to drop in price, and I mean, I was looking at it during the Black Friday sales, but I just had other stuff I was buying, so I just never got around to picking it up. I'll pick it up at some point. I'll definitely want to buy it, but I'm just holding off. But
Yeah.
I'll definitely get around to that. But the other game actually I've been playing that I did want to bring up, and the reason why I want to bring this up in particular is because it's in relation to what we're going to be talking about. And the game I'm playing as well is called Death Wish Enforcers. This is a game, Scott, that you'll definitely want to get your hands on. So basically, what this game is basically Sunset Riders,
Right.
but like it plays exactly like Sunset Riders. The only difference is thematically it's sort of in a like 19 sort of 20s, like no, sorry, not 1920s, 1970s sort of era. So you've got your police officers and your pimps and whatnot, but it's exactly like Sunset Riders. Like it is just a fantastic arcade run and gun shooter. I mean, this game was made essentially as a love letter to Sunset Riders. and I highly recommend you pick this one up. This was a limited run physical release, but whether you get it digitally or not, but like definitely check out this game if you like Sunset Riders. You won't be disappointed with it. It's
Yeah,
so much fun.
that sounds quite intriguing actually.
Yeah, yeah, really, really good game. It caught me by surprise, but once I started playing it, I was like, yeah, the people that made this game were they just wanted to make a sequel, a follow up to Sunset Riders. This is a spiritual sequel to Sunset Riders.
Death Wish
So
and Forces.
yeah, amazing game, well worth checking out. Death Wish
Yeah,
and
I'll
Forces,
have to.
definitely
Look at that
amazing
one.
game. Yeah, look it up. It's an amazing game.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, man. We'll just go through the comments quickly, Rob. So
Okay.
who we got on? So we got Rock and Roller,
Nice
Dull,
one, brother.
Watch
That was on here.
Yeah, Dull's on it. Retro Godfather. Did you see Dull at the London Market?
I did. Yeah, he actually he called me up. Like he messaged me beforehand to ask whether I was going to come down or not. Because at the time I wasn't too sure because the night before, like I finished like really in the early hours of the morning, so I wasn't too sure I was going to get enough sleep. That's why I completely missed you, Scott.
Yeah.
But I did go actually. I turned up sort of just before 3, so very late in the day. And he was actually literally as I walked through the door, he just happened to be like right by the door. So as I walked in, so he was the first person I saw. But yeah, always a pleasure seeing Dahl. Yeah. But it was very quick for me because, like I say, I couldn't really spend a lot of time with a lot of YouTube because a lot of people. I mean, obviously, I missed you completely, and then the other YouTubers that were there, I did get a chance to talk to them, but like none of us had the time to go pub or nothing, so it was pretty much an in and out, really.
I think they were probably wrapping it up about 4 o'clock anyway, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it was still. I mean, people were still buying around that time, but they were like obviously packing up. But I got there with enough time to have a look around. I didn't see anything. In fact, I was quite disappointed by this market because I felt that a lot of the items I saw. I mean, granted, I did come towards the end, so probably all the bargains had gone by then. But like, what I saw was basically a lot of overpriced and poor condition stuff. So like, if I saw something for a good price, it was in very bad condition. Or if I saw something that otherwise caught my interest, it was very expensive. So I just decided to pass on everything, really. Didn't buy anything. I bought one thing. I bought one of those custom manuals off Rowan from MVP.
Yeah.
I got it for Super Mario Wonder. I bought that. And nice talking to him. I do like talking to him at the events. But aside from that, I didn't buy anything. I did see what's that game called? Deep Fear for the Saturn. Yeah, I saw that Japanese Alan had a copy there, and it was actually going for a good price. And it looked like they had the spine card there as well, and everything. I almost picked it up. But I don't know. I think the reason why I haven't picked that game up is just because, for me, the Saturn is just about the immediacy, the arcade games, and it doesn't really fall into that category. And I know you can play it like in English because it does have English voiceover. But part of me is like, I don't really. I need to have the English text. I don't know why.
I know. I mean, I've got it on Japanese. I've not really played it, to be fair, but yeah, all the text is in Japanese. But obviously, if you want the Euro version, then it's what, £300 ish. It was the last PAL release that would come out. So
I mean, and like, it's just that I know myself, and that like I know that if I bought it, it would just be sitting on my shelf. Like I would not like compared to what the games in my backlog, that it'd be very like it would take me a long time to get around to it. So I'm like, why am I going to waste my money on it?
Yeah. I mean, if you can get it for 30 quid Japanese, it's
like it was going for about 30 quid. It's not an expensive game. It's not about the price. It's just but like I just don't want to buy something that I know is just going to sit on my shelf for a long time. I'm just trying to avoid that.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. That's fair. Cool,
it's not about the price at all.
So who else have we got? We've got Underwater Level. Hello, mate.
Yes, Joe.
Retro Chef, as always. Big Lee.
Oh, Lee's on here. How you doing, brother?
these on here. Pixel Plug. Hello all. Yeah, hello to yourself
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
Pixel Plug. How you doing?
We've got so Underwater Level has just said I've just finished Wonder today, Rob. It's pretty damn good. Retro Chef says Wonder is the best Mario
Nice.
game, hands down. It's a big statement from Lee. So
That's a
Dole
very
says he'd
big
like,
statement. I'll
yeah,
say it's up there though. I'll say it's up there. It's up there for sure.
yeah. I think there's a good level of consistency with Mario games. You can't ever really go wrong. Dole is saying he'd like to get both. I'd imagine he's probably talking about Sonic and Mario. Dow says in Sega news, both Virtua Fighter 3 and Spy Cat have been confirmed for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Cheers, it was good to see you too, Rob. Rock and Roller, great idea to get more people in the room. Invite Chef into the stream. We did earlier. Leaves unavailable. Gary Cormack says, just join the chat now. Do you guys play PC at all? If so, I highly recommend checking out a game called Buzzed. Beautiful, vibrant 2D visuals, similar gameplay to the likes of Meat Boy. I personally don't have a gaming PC. I've always generally been a console PC. I imagine you probably are as well, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, like I've wanted to like get like a gaming PC, but I just I just never got found the time, or I never really had the money for it. To be honest with you, like I'd like
Yeah,
to get something like a really good rig, but I'm not against PC gaming, but like I've just always all my life I've just been a console gamer.
yeah,
I may, in fact, once we get into this like all digital world,
yeah,
I may just go PC. Because I don't see the point in going console after that. But
yeah.
aside from that, but as of now, no, I don't game on PC. No.
Much same here. So Ross is here. Hey people, hello mate.
Oh, nice
Uh,
to see you, Ross.
Yeah, so yeah, that brings us up today. So yeah, thanks guys for all viewing. Like I said, Sega Sessions has been very, very quiet recently. Last time we actually did one was I think Christmas last year, when we had the quiz with
Wow.
Gathered, and yeah, it hasn't been touched. So fair play to the guys tuning in. So thank you very much. So we'll crack on, Rob. Obviously we were here to discuss Mega Drive Run and Guns. So I said we'll just flick through various games and give our thoughts on it, I guess, really, in terms of how it was or how it was perceived at the time and how it's, I suppose, aged as well over time as well, really.
Yeah.
If you want to get the ball rolling, obviously I showed you what I've got here
Oh,
anyway.
I've yeah, you started off, man. I've got just one game here, but it's a very important one for me, so I've got a lot to
Yeah,
say on it. So
I mean we can talk about other
you
games.
can kick it off.
I've got a list of
Yeah,
games
of course.
I don't own anyway. But the first one, I know it's Mega Drive, but I'm going to class this anyway. Terminator on the Mega
Quality
CD.
game.
Yeah,
Quality game.
superb game. Superb game.
I don't rate the Mega Drive version though.
No,
Like
no.
I don't think of it, but the Mega CD game, I've only played it on a what do they call the EverDrive cards.
Oh
I've got
yeah,
one
yeah,
that I've got the I've got the EverDrive card that can also play Mega CD games.
yeah.
So I've been playing. I've played that Terminator game. It's fantastic. Like really, really good. Like I'm actually, because it's funny, right? I remember as a kid back in the day, and I remember seeing that Mega CD Terminator game in the shops, and I never really gave it much thought at the time because I just always assumed it was just like a generic licensed game. Like, but once you actually play it, it's more than that. It
Yeah,
really is a fantastic run and gunner and
yeah,
or action platformer run and gunner. And yeah, like I'd never realized how good it was until like it was highlighted to me like many years later on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe all this time I've seen it in the shops. I've seen it in the shops. Like it's actually a very common game. I used to see a lot in the shops, and I just never gave it much thought. It's
yeah,
a fantastic game.
yeah. I think it is a very, very good game. It's. I suppose back in the day, it was probably quite underrated because I guess it just seemed like they were too. They were all pretty common, weren't they? And it was quite hard to tell the decent level of quality games amongst the kind of licensed titles. But yeah, it's really good. I mean, graphically, I don't think it really kind of pushes the Mega CD, but it
No,
plays superb. And I think it actually, one thing I like is it gets the aesthetic of. I mean, it's based on the game. It's based on the film quite loosely, but it gets the aesthetic of
Mm,
the movie very, very well, like the colors and the general feel. Um, One thing that you've got to mention is the soundtrack as well. Um,
yes.
Absolutely superb. Tommy Tallarico, isn't it? I know he's kind of a bit of a um,
He's a controversial figure to say the
yeah,
least.
he's a bit of a dirty word in gaming, isn't he? With the Amico.
Yeah.
But 90s Tommy Tallarico, he obviously did a lot of soundtracks for a lot of games, and it was superb, really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not a cheap game these days. I paid
Not
it
now.
no, I paid 140 for this from CEX.
Wow.
Um, well, it's voucher, boot sale, recycling, but yeah, really not a cheap game. Much like
But you know what? By expensive game standards, it's still relatively feasible compared to some other
yeah,
titles. Like
yeah,
it's still attainable.
yeah. Like, just going to the market, like I say, you go with 50 quid. That's not really going to get you a lot.
Nah, mate, not at all. Not
No,
at all.
you've got to go with a couple of 100 quid, really. Um,
Couple of hundred, a couple of grand. That's,
well,
oh,
that's Japanese Allen store, isn't it?
mate.
Yeah,
It's crazy because I've seen some games there like going for about £800. Like it's nuts to me, man.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
nuts to me. Like I honestly, like I mean, I don't want to knock the gaming market, but like I did feel it got to a point where like a lot of times even supersedes the prices on eBay. So it's like, what's the
Mm,
point now? Like I want to just sit at home and order at home, order from
yeah.
home.
Yeah,
Um,
It's
but
nice going to see the guys for the meetup, isn't it? More than the actual
that
game.
that 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 for the last three events, that's really what I've been going there for, just to meet people. I've not really even been going there to buy anything, just going there
Yeah,
for the meetups, you know. I mean, because when it comes to retro, like I'm so selective now, and with the prices of a lot of games, I can't even impulse buy anymore.
yeah,
Like, everything's like at least 30 quid. So it's like I can't impulse just on a 30 quid game. Like it needs to be a game that like genuinely interests me. So it is what it is. I'm not moaning. I'm not bitching and moaning. I've always understood these rises in prices. And hey, I'm known for buying expensive games. So like not no one can say like I'm a cheap fucker. But
no,
but
no,
like
definitely.
I just yeah. But it's just more of the fact that it was more the condition of the games that annoyed me when you compare it
Mm,
to the prices. Like if they have some minty copies, like if they got loads of mint copies, then fair enough, charge your prices. But like, I don't want to see 200, £300 on a game that looks like it's about to fall apart. That
yeah,
really irks me. You know?
it's yeah, it's just the market, isn't it? Really, and I guess it's just
Yeah,
the pressure that goes with it. But
yeah, yeah,
you know, yeah, that's hey, that's the going rate. So that's the going rate, isn't it? Really, like it or don't really. We'll just run through the
pretty
comments a
much.
quick. Yeah, so we've got Rock and Roller Gunstar Heroes, which yeah we will get to. That's probably the standout title I'd imagine on the Mega Drive. Midnight Resistance, Gary Cormack. The opening stage one tune is
Midnight Resistance.
yeah. I don't know. I've never
Did,
played
did
that.
Midnight Resistance? I have it. I actually have it. But did Midnight Resistance get a PAL release? I don't think it did. I think it's only a Genesis Japanese game.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me just have a quick look.
I do have it though. I have it, but it's not a. I think I've got the. I think I had the American version.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
Mm.
Yeah, Genesis. Yeah, I don't think I've played that. I might have to. Do you know who
It's
developed that?
oh, not off the top of my head. I just know it had a very unique gameplay style where you have to use the three buttons it's kind of a weird game. It doesn't. It looks like, if you look at it running, it kind of looks like a country game, but the controls are
Yeah.
quite different. It's quite a unique experience.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, it's very similar to Contra, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite an early Mega Drive game from what I've seen it spoken about. Data
It
East.
is.
Data East done it.
It is. Yeah. But I think I would, yeah. Because I will say this though, I think it might be a Marmite game because just because of the controls, it doesn't play like a straightforward running gun game.
Yeah,
that might turn a few people off, but I like it. It's kind of cool. It's kind of different. Not my favorite, but it's a fun game.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for that one. Ross Bohoho is saying, I beat the Mega CD game at the end of last year, so probably bang on a year ago. I guess you're talking about Terminator, Ross, but yeah, absolutely superb game. Underwater Level, I think I might know what Rob's got, and it's an absolute beauty. Dow says one of the best games on the system. Underwater Level, such a cool game. I'm scared. So Underwater Level says as well, I'm scared of expensive disc rot based retro games now because of disc rot. Or he's saying I'm scared of expensive disc based retro games because of disc rot. I mean that's probably a topic for some other time. But I mean, obviously, me and you have got quite extensive Saturn and PlayStation collections as well, Rob. So I mean, personally, for me,
Yeah.
Disc rot doesn't really come into it. The only Saturn games I've ever come across that have had disc rot was actually demo discs, and they were third-party demo discs that were on Saturn Power magazine from back in the day. They had very little pinpricks through them, but other than that, I've checked all my discs and they're all pretty minty fresh. So I think, to be honest, as long as you keep them in like room temperature, don't leave them up in the loft where they're getting exposed to hot and cold, you're generally going to be all right. But I suppose it's potentially something that's on the horizon long term.
Well, look, you just have to come to accept that all media is not forever. You know, no matter what it is, like these things are not forever. They all wear out. They all break down. You know, nothing is forever. So once you accept that, then you go on to just try and take care of your stuff. Since I've been going on the Sega Saturn journey, I always inspect my discs. As soon as I get them, I do check to see if they've got any disc rot. I've not come across anything so far. But like, you know, it is what it is. You try to look after them the best way you can, but there's no foolproof way of looking after them. You know, eventually, through time, things are just going to wear out. It is what it is. I come with that understanding. But you're right though. It has, with the Saturn, with the exception of the Saturn, like I'm not in favor of buying retro disc-based games. I think the Saturn for me was about as far as I'm willing to go with it. I like if I ever decide to delve into the Dreamcast, it's definitely going to be an SD card and a mode because I'm not willing to go through that again. But I don't know, like I say, nothing is forever, and also even with cartridges, you know, they can damage as well. So it is what it is. You know, just accept that VHS tapes wear out, DVDs wear out, CDs wear out. It's just that's part of life. We wear out. You know, you know, that's just how it is, man. That's just part of life.
That is very true. That is very true. And I think as well that you hear different things. People say, "Oh, certain CDs on various systems age better than others." People say DVDs are much better made, and then Blu-rays are much better made as well. I'm not sure. I also think that, you know, the Saturn stuff is 25, 30 years old, a lot of it. So if it would have happened, it's probably would have already happened for most of it. So, you know, if we can get another 25 years out of it, then that's fine. Even if you do get this. Yeah. And the weird thing is as well, I mean, if you would have said to yourself 30 years ago, oh, this copy of Deep Fear is going to be worth 400 quid, who knows where the market's going to go? Is the market going to become so twisted and perverse that people are still going to be prepared to pay that to simply own it? Because when you think, most of these guys that buy these games don't play them, they sit on the shelf. So is the value still going to be in just having the physical item itself, regardless if it works, or is it
Well,
just
I
going to
mean,
be?
you usually, well, usually with the higher price games, it just comes down to supply and demand, really. So it depends on how many games are out there are available in the market. Obviously, the lesser game is seen on the market, then the higher the price becomes. It has nothing to do with the game's quality. It's just about
No.
how available it is. So yeah, I mean, I think things change. People's way of thinking changes every decade. And obviously as the newer generations come along, like it's like, for example, like you look at the Atari stuff, right? Stuff that came out in the 70s does not have the same level of value
No.
compared to stuff from the 80s and 90s. So I think that eventually, as time goes on, stuff from the 80s and 90s will tend to have less value over the stuff from the 2000s and the 2010s. Because as we move on in time, these generations get nostalgic for the stuff that has come afterwards, not so much the stuff that we loved.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that if anything's going to decide the prices on this stuff, it really, when the demand starts to slow down and changes to something else, that's when we'll see a drop in price. But I don't know, who's to say, because
Yeah.
the one thing is, like, a lot of the unlike the Atari stuff, those very early games, 8-bit stuff, 16-bit stuff, especially the 2D stuff, it's still very much in vogue today, thanks to the indie market. A lot of the new retro game, still it goes back to those early 8-bit and 16-bit classics. So that's what, for a lot of new generations, those old games still hold a degree of value to them as well.
Yeah.
So that might extend their desirability for younger people, because I know there are 20-year-olds, who weren't even an idea in their parents' head when the Super Nintendo was out. Like really love the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So, like, if, as long as there's interest, even from the newer generations, then those games will hold their value.
I think as well with the I know there's a lot of guys that are into the 8-bit micro stuff, as they call it, the Spectrum and the C64 and Amstrad. I think for me they're a little bit basic. So I didn't necessarily grow up with that stuff, but that it's almost like there's a line in the sand between almost where the 8-bit micro stuff ends and then it kicks on with the NES. And it's like like the NES brought a level of quality to the market that was really
Yeah.
focused on gameplay and making sure that the customer was actually getting value for money. And obviously, Sega just run with that as well. So I think a lot of the kind of the Master System, the NES stuff, and I think almost like the 16-bit stuff, that's called almost like, not discounting the PlayStation and Saturn, but the 16-bit 2D was kind of where it peaked really in terms of gameplay and aesthetic visuals, and they look kind of timeless. Really, they can't, they are retro looking, but you can clearly tell what they are, and you can identify. It's not just it's not just looking like a sort of teletext kind of gameplay style from the very early days. You can visually tell what these sort of things are. I think a
Well,
lot of them.
I think when it comes to, I think when it, yeah, I think when it comes to a lot of the Spectrum and those sort of like early PC games, they're the microcomputers. They're mostly popular with people that grew up with it, or like really hardcore gamers. Like, because I know there are people that didn't have it, but I like to collect for it just because they're very much into the gaming scene. But for the most part, it's just people that grew up with it, and it's their nostalgia which fuels their collectability. But for a lot of other people, I still think it's very niche in this game collecting world. It's definitely not what most people want, which is why the price for the most part in a lot of these microcomputer games are still very affordable.
Yeah.
You know, barring a few exceptions, of course, but like for the most part, they're very affordable because the demand is not as high. You just can't compare like a Spectrum game to like a nice condition Nintendo game, an NES game. You know, like with certain games, and in term not in terms of how they play, but so in terms of the demand of for collectors. You know, it really just comes down to nostalgia. But NES, Master System, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, they have far more appeal to collectors because they still hold up. Whereas you know, these microcomputer games are strictly for those that, you know, grew up with it, have the nostalgia for it.
Yeah, definitely. I know that there are some caveats with like the Hit Squad. Some of those games are very, very expensive, but I know what you mean. On the whole, it tends to be more of a cheaper market, really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like those. I mean, like you said, with those Hit Squad games, with certain Hit Squad games, because they have very high demand. But for the most part, those games are very affordable. You know, you can't say the same for like a Super Nintendo game, you know, like a boxed one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally, mate, totally. All right, we've just got a couple more comments. So we've got, I think a few of the guys are just saying that Midnight Resistance did get a American and Japanese only release. Gary Cormack says, I've got music CDs from the early 80s and none of them have disc rot. Just avoid extreme temperatures and moisture, which, yeah, I think you're right, mate. It just comes down to how you look after it. Yeah, Dale's corrected there. So, yeah, underwater level, we do wear out. That is, unfortunately, very true for all of us, really. Ross is saying, as long as my stuff outlives me, which is highly likely, I don't worry about it. Which again, I think, I mean, that's another discussion. But I think if you're looking at thinking, oh, I'm going to leave it to my kids or my family, they'll be interested. No, this stuff is just kind of enjoy it while it's here. Really, I think.
No, listen, we don't take none of this to our grave. You know, I'll say this: like, if my Saturn games start displaying disc rot when I'm in my 70s, I'll be happy. Because I'll say this, like, at least I got my money's worth. Like, you know, if I can get a good solid 20-25 years out of them, I'm happy. You know?
Yeah,
I won't be too mad.
Rock and Roll has just quickly said, as opposed to disc rot, that's why I love the Switch. I mean, there were rumours of SD cards that are only having an even shorter lifespan than CDs. Again, I don't know how factual that is, but
look,
everything
it's just
forever.
Listen, everything wears out, right? Like it just be different. Like with discs, it's disc rot, but for SD cards, it'll be something else differently. So like, they don't think that because it's a different format that it's safe. Like it's you know, it's everlasting. It's not. It doesn't matter what format it comes on. As time goes on, things wear out. That's just the way it is.
It'll be oxidization of the pins on SD cards or something like that, where you know the contacts will start to break in some respect. But who knows? Did you want to go to your game next, Rob?
Well, I mean, no, let's just carry on because you've got a bit of a pile, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a pile here. We can work with that.
Yeah, I want to because I didn't bother bringing a pile because most of the games that you picked out were the games I was going to pick out. So it don't really make a difference.
All right, that's fair enough. I don't know if you would class this as a run and gun, but I've got Earthworm Jim CD.
What is that? Earthworm Jim?
Yeah.
There you go. I don't really class that as a run and gun.
Nah.
I don't really class that as a run. I mean, look, it's I mean, it's got obviously, you know, there are shooting mechanics, but I see it more as a platformer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's more of an
with
action
shooting
platformer
mechanics, isn't it?
to
Yeah,
me. Like for
that's
me, a run, yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's a great game though.
yeah.
Like I like that game's fantastic, no matter what, you know.
I
I've
think
never played the Mega CD version. I've only played the Mega Drive version of that.
it's. I mean, suppose this is the best version you're going to get. This comes with, more. It's got the CD audio in it. There's more animation for Jim as well. I think you've got more animated cutscenes. As I haven't played through it yet, but there's little tweaks to it. But realistically, if you've got the Mega Drive version, you probably don't really need to get it.
Mm. Yeah,
So
I mean, I toyed with getting it for the Saturn, but I never. I didn't really think there was enough reason for me to do so. I almost got it for the Saturn. I was looking at it for the Saturn, but decided to pass on it.
yeah, have you already got it for the Mega Drive or SNES?
Yeah, yeah. I've got the Mega Drive game. I've got both games on the Mega Drive.
Okay.
Like I when back when I was collecting for the Mega Drive, like I went out of my way to get all the games that interested me back then. So like yeah, I have them both.
Hmm.
Yeah, hard games though. Like
Yeah,
no
yeah,
good
yeah.
at them.
No, I remember playing them as a kid, and the only way you can really get through them is the cheat codes back in the day. But yeah, visually like outstanding. The animation.
Yeah.
I remember the
Cheat
animation
codes
on.
were invaluable. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Cheat codes were invaluable back then. You needed them. That's how they
yeah.
were, man.
Thumbing through the old magazines. So this one is a bit of a left field choice, but well, you have mentioned this one before numerous times, and I think it goes under the radar. But it's Jurassic Park Rampage Edition.
Yeah, see, I remember when you showed me the picture, I was like, I have that game as well.
Yeah.
But like I'll be honest, I've not even played it, so I have it, but I haven't played it. So
You not played it at all
I
then?
not played it at all. Not got
Wow,
around to it.
really?
That's it. Yeah, I do own it, but I've not played it.
That's really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I've heard it's great. I've heard it's great. Just
yeah,
yeah,
um,
I have two Jurassic Park games. I've got that one, and I have the sequel. I've got the Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World. That one I have played. That's a fun one as well. Very
yeah,
cool game.
that's got a lot of kind of graphical features because it's such a late Mega Drive release, isn't it? There's a lot of kind of like 3D effects in it that are really impressive.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's mostly just a top-down game, but like every now and again, it'll go into this sort of like 3D sort of sections, which are very cool. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So I mean, with this one, this is excellent game. It's basically just everything that they sorted with the original. Have you played the first Jurassic Park?
No, never played that one.
All right. So that.
I mean, at the time, I tended to avoid. I don't own it, and I never as a kid like I sort of avoided a lot of licensed games when I could at that time.
So with this one, it's the thing with the first one is it's very there's a lot of blind jumps in it. It's the slowdown in the game is very apparent. Like it just will literally crawl for a few seconds when there's too much going on the screen. But with this one, they kind of just scrapped the whole idea of it. It's like a supercharged version of the original game. It's just full on action. Like it's unlimited kind of bullets. You can actually kill the dinosaurs, whereas you stun them before. Graphically looks really good. The only criticism I would say of it is that it's a very short game. You can literally breeze through it in about 15 minutes. There's only 5 levels and they only take about 3 minutes each.
15 minutes? No.
15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. That's as long as it will take. Once you get good at it, that's as
Wow.
long as it will take. So the only kind of
I suppose the
the only,
average game, the average life. I was gonna say about the average lifespan of a Mega Drive game at that time was about half an hour, wasn't it?
yeah, I suppose give or take, but this is a very, very short game, even by Mega Drive standards.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it's still quite reasonable. It's not expensive. It's like I don't know, 20 quid game, very, very cheap for a Mega Drive game.
I bought when I think when I paid I think I paid about £7 for mine, uh, something like that. It was definitely less than a tenner.
Yeah, it's well worth
But
it.
this was like a few years back. Yeah.
Yeah,
But that one actually took a long time to go up in price. That was actually a very affordable game for a long, long time.
yeah. It's not an expensive game, like not an expensive game in the slightest, but it's really good fun. It's probably just again probably suffers from the license. To people think people maybe sleep on it a little bit, but it's a blinding game, really really good, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really really good fun game. Definitely give it a go.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I will do. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, mate. So we'll just move on to the next one. So this one is going to be slightly different. I think you can class this as a run and gun. Probably quite an early game, but Alien Storm.
Yeah, see, I was waiting for you to bring this one up because, like,
Yeah.
again, I don't class that as a running gun. I class that more as a beat 'em up.
Really?
Even though yeah, because like it basically plays like a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's very
you're
golden
right
axe,
because
actually.
they use
Yeah.
weapons. Yeah, like it's like so I personally put it under the beat 'em up genre, but like I can't really be mad at it like for you to say that because like I understand why you would say that. But yeah, that was a game I actually had as a kid, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Although I ended up trading it on to get another game, but I do own it now. But like it's one of those ones that I regretted. I regretted moving it on, but I just needed to do so I could get money to buy another game. But that was a really good game, and I still like it. I still
Yeah.
play it every now and again. Quality game. I think it deserves to be in everyone's collection. But as a game itself, as a run and gun, uh, there's not much running and gunning except on that on those special levels where you actually are like just like zooming really
Yeah. They're
fast
they're
and like
running like
jumping over it. Those are actually really fun.
they run like Usain Bolt on it, don't they?
Yeah. Those levels are really cool. But like, but I'll just say this: it's a fun arcade game, no matter
Yeah.
what. And I reckon that if whether you're a fan of running guns or beat 'em ups or just arcade games, it's this one to check out. I love that game. Great
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
do. Now you said that, I see what you mean. I think maybe I was looking at it too far away from what a traditional run and gun is. It's more akin to kind of Golden Axe, isn't it? Really, more like a futuristic Golden
Yeah.
Axe.
I mean, it's basically for me. I see it's like it's basically the counterpoint to Golden Axe, whereas Golden Axe is like a medieval beat 'em up. This one is more of a sci-fi, futuristic one.
Yeah,
You know, because you still hit your enemies as well. You're not just shooting them. Like if you go up close to an enemy, you do hit them with your guns.
yeah,
Like you are smacking them. So but like, I get where you were trying to go with it. I can see what you were trying to do with it. But I personally would put that as a beat 'em up myself.
yeah. No, that's fair point. Fair point. I think that's probably more accurate actually. Um, we'll just go through a few of the comments, Rob, because there's been quite an influx of them. So we've got. Rock and Roll is saying, as the subject is run and guns, would you class Zombies Ate My Neighbor as a run and gun?
Do you know what? Right, I was almost going to put that as a part because when I was going through my own games, I did think about that one, and yes, I think it is, but I think because I see it more as a collector fun. You know, if like, because yes, you are running around and shooting, but it's more about collecting items and people rather than like, because that's how you get out of the levels.
Mm.
Whereas for me, a run and gun is basically something like a Gunstar Heroes. You know,
Yeah.
it can no, but running guns can be top down as well, like your shock troopers, your
Yeah.
Ikari warriors. You know, but those, it has to be. So whereas zombies ain't my neighbors, you know, you're stuck within the confines of a level, but you don't get out of that level until you collect what you need to collect, and then the
Mm.
door opens up, and then you go through. Whereas a run and gun, you're basically making your way from left to right or from bottom to top, fighting your way through bad guys, you know, and
Yeah.
trying to stay alive. So that's more of how I define a run and gun. So no, I don't class zombies ain't my neighbors. Again, like much like Alien Storm, I can see why someone would say that. But I kind of put zombies ain't my neighbors more in the puzzle category than a run and gun category, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's my personal take on it.
Yeah, yeah, I would probably agree with that. I mean, I had Zombies Ate My Neighbors as a kid, and I found that game so hard, really hard. I could only get to like the fifth level in it because it's almost
Really,
like, yeah, your weapons are so underpowered on it.
it does get very hard. Like
Yeah,
I also
really,
had it as a kid, but yeah.
yeah, really enjoyed it though. But
Mm.
I
It's
would,
fun in
yeah,
multiplayer. It's fun in
yeah, yeah,
multiplayer.
yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, you are probably more accurate there. It is probably more like a collectathon or a puzzle game.
Mm.
um, than a traditional run and gun. But yeah, I suppose if you're looking at it very traditional, is what is a run and gun? Either like a Gunstar or an Ikari Warriors or Shock Troopers kind of thing, I guess. So it doesn't really fit the mold in either of those categories, really.
Mm.
Just trying to find any others. Yeah. So. So Gary Cormack says these days you're lucky. Go find a used Saturn that doesn't have a faulty laser. Anything with moving parts will fail sooner. Yeah, they will. I mean, to be honest, the Saturn is actually probably one of the better made consoles. I've got four of them and they all work fine, whereas the Dreamcast is quite terrible. I've got three of them and none of them actually work 100%. The best one works, but it'll crash on you randomly after an hour. Whereas my original Saturn from back in the day is still going strong. It's half a dozen one, six of another, isn't it? There's numerous PlayStations. Did you ever get a PlayStation, Rob, where you had to turn it upside down?
Yes, I listen with Sony consoles. I've said this before. Like since the PS1 days, I've always had to buy two consoles, all of them, with the exception of the PlayStation 4. My PS1 had to buy it twice. PS2 bought it twice. PS3 bought it twice. So like, and I've still got my PS3 Slim, still runs like a champ, like no issues at all. But like always the first models, they always break down.
Yeah,
All of
they're
them.
always shit.
Like, yeah. Although I will say the my PS4, which is now acting up, but it's just because it's got dust and stuff. I need to open it up and clean it. But it was still running like a champ. It's my original model still runs. It was running fine otherwise. But yeah, they all break down.
Yeah. So we've got Gordon Gibb 84 Gaming. Hello, Gord. Hope you're
Yes,
well,
Gordon.
mate. Yeah, I met Gordon a couple of last month. Nice lad, very
nice.
very nice. When I was on holiday in Scotland.
Nice.
Yeah, it's lovely. We went to his golf course and he sorted us a solid. Didn't pay for any meals. Got the kids a little freebie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice of him.
Nice fella, really nice fella. So Gordon says all these Mega Drive games are too hard. You need to man up a bit, Gordon, mate.
That was the standard back in the day, Gordon.
It was, mate. It was. It is weird because you think you only. I mean, it's people have said it a million times, but you only did get games at birthdays and Christmas, and what you had was what you had. I mean, a good example of this. I'm not going to go on this is a good example. So I had this. Have you played this, Rob?
I haven't. No, it's a game like I've been meaning to get it, and then I was trying to decide whether to go for the SNES version or the Mega Drive version, but most people just keep telling me the game's very mediocre.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but it's Bruce Lee. It's Bruce Lee. But like most people, I've not heard good things, so like I just never got around to it.
But I tell you what, I mean, it is ridiculously hard. Ridiculously hard. There's no
Really?
you can only be Bruce Lee in it. So there's no other characters, but there's lots of other characters that you fight in it. So it's kind of
that's the only one I'd want to be. That's the only one I'd want to be anyway.
That's true. That's true. But he's so stiff in it. He's like made of concrete, and nothing is quick. It's not like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter where you press the button and it's instant. It's such a slow game, and the special moves are all kind of charge moves. So it's back for 2 seconds, but the thing is, it's ridiculously hard and it's frustratingly stiff. But as a kid, I smashed that game. I didn't see the faults of it. I just got on with it.
Yeah, that's true. And I've got games like that as well. Yeah.
You just cracked on, didn't you? You didn't really know anything different.
Yeah, I used to be. Back in the day, my mate had Ninja Gaiden on the NES, and like me and my mate, we were fucking awesome at that game. Like we were smashing it. Now, I could barely get off the first level.
Yeah.
But back then, like we were very good at it. I mean, I never completed it because I remember I got to the last level and it was just balls hard. It was really hard. But now I can't even get to the second level. Well, I can get to the second level, but I die a lot, But back then I could just fly through it,
Yeah.
And the same game, I'm actually the same thing. Like, when I'm about to talk about the game I'm going to bring up in a second, but like it's the same thing. Like when I was a kid, I was amazing at the game. Now I struggle.
Yeah. I used to again, like I had a Master System back in the day, and I had Alex Kidd, as everyone did, and I used to be able to do that. Alex Kidd in Miracle World, used to get through it with my eyes closed, knew all the little rock paper scissors tricks, memorized it, and could do it like with a couple of lives. Now, Jesus Christ, that game is hard, like ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
Another one, same Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
Gaiden. I had that on the Master System as well. Was able to do that.
That game's hard, man.
Yeah.
Quality game though, but hard.
Yeah. Put it much prettier game than there's one.
Yeah, but do you know what? I do prefer the NES one to the Master System one, because you're right, it does look better on the Master System, but there's just something about the music, the general look of it, and it just looks cooler. I don't know what it is. The levels look cooler on the NES games, and the music just is better. I mean, the music in general is going to be better than the Master System. I hate the Master System music. I'm sorry, Master System people, but the music sucks. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that chipset that actually made the Master System music better, but we didn't get that in Europe, so I have to judge it how we got it. Can't talk about that. We can't talk about but in Japan they had this. We didn't have it, so I got to judge it on that level. But I still don't get me wrong. I love the Master System, but the music for me is just it's like a nails on a chalkboard. But yeah, like I've always preferred, but in terms of Ninja Gaiden, I've always preferred the aesthetics on the NES games. There's something about, I don't know what it is about NES games in general.
Mm.
Graphically, they may not be better than the Master System per se, but they still look great.
Yeah.
And I can't quite explain it, but like yeah, it's just just the overall package, I suppose. Like if you combine it with the music, the level design, the color palette, like it looks more appealing to me compared to Master System games. Master System games tend to have a very through lack of a better term, more of like a simple design, even though in many cases the graphics are better and more detailed. You know, am I making any sense? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. More, I suppose it's more the color palette, isn't it? Master System games are a lot more brighter, aren't they? And so maybe that's compensating for
yeah,
maybe a lack of or
yeah,
less.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what it like, but I'll definitely say like I've. But then again, you know, because I did own a NES as a kid, so there is a bit of nostalgia. But like, whenever I hear that NES music, it's just very iconic. Like I say, like I did get a lot of hands-on time on the Master System back in the day, so like I've got a lot of love for the Master System. I can't knock it at all, really.
No,
Besides the music, but
but
yeah, go on.
I was going to say, saying that though, when you do hear the FM chip in the Master System, it sounds fantastic. But I know what you mean. In the UK, we only got mono, wasn't it? So it doesn't sound great.
Yeah, but to be honest, to be honest with you, hearing it now just makes me angry because I'm like, why did we not have this? Like, why? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, didn't
Yeah,
the NES had the similar thing as well? Because I remember, what was it, Castlevania 3? Like there was like an extra chipset on it on the Japanese
yeah,
one where the music sounded better. But whereas for me, the NES one was more of a nice alternative. Whereas for the Master System, it was a massive improvement.
yeah.
So it's a real shame that it wasn't the standard in the Master System back in the day. But I suppose it doesn't really matter because you know in Europe the Master System was a massive success. So
That's all we knew.
who cares?
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. So we've got Dahl, Retro Godfather saying I played that back in the day, still like it. I think he's referring to Alien Storm, which was about that time that comment came up. Gary Cormack says Universal Soldier is an underrated run and gun. Most people assume it's a poor license game, but it's actually Turricane 2 with redrawn graphics. Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
I did own that game back in the day. Not as a kid. When I was collecting for the Mega Drive, I did own it, but I sold it on, which I regret doing so. But the only reason why I sold it on was because it was missing a manual, and in my mind I was planning to get another one with a manual, but I should have kept it until I got it until I bought a new one, but I never got around to it. But yeah, it's a reskinned Turrican game basically.
Yeah.
But
I find that is the worst example of a movie tie-in game that has got absolutely nothing to do with the movie going. I can't think of another game. I mean, all right, we said Terminator. It's kind of very loosely, and we said about Bruce Lee. Again, it's kind of based on the Jason Scott Lee film, but the Universal Soldier Turricane game to Universal Soldier the film has got absolutely nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. It's just strange.
And which in a way turns and it turns you off because I love that film, by the way. Like that was a movie I watched as a kid. I had on VHS.
Yeah.
And for me, like because I could clearly see this was not a Universal Soldier game, just a different game with a new skin on it. I was like, it kind of put me off. Regardless of what I thought of the quality of a turret, because I love Turrican games are fun, you know. But if I buy a Universal Soldier game, I want to see stuff from the movie. I want to see that. Like I don't like regardless of what I think of Turrican games, it did turn me off a little bit. I won't lie.
Yeah.
Because it's not what it's supposed to be.
yeah, it's an absolute sort of cash grab, isn't it? And it didn't do any kind of favors for those sort of games, I think, really.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got
Absolutely.
Addy Sneaker Freak on, and he says, I hope you talked about Gruss Newton's all-time favourite game, Atomic Runner, a small sprite for a small man.
Do you know, again, I almost picked out Atomic Runner as well. That is a run and gun game. That is a run and gun game, but a slightly different one, because if I recall correctly, that what isn't the doesn't the level scroll automatically as well?
Yes, it does. Yeah,
Yeah, but that is a run and gun game. Like
yeah.
like I don't know where else to put it, because you can't really class it as a shmup, you know.
No.
And it does have a lot of the aspects that would make a run and gun. So yeah, not a favorite of mine, I must admit, but yeah, you know,
Yeah, I guess it
I
could
know
be.
it has its fans.
Yeah. So we've got proud Scotsman Paul Retro B8
How you
in the
doing,
chat.
Paul?
Hello, Paul. He says, "Hey lads." Obviously, Addy Sneaker Freak saying hi, Retro BA. Gary Cormack says, "Yeah, Alien Storm is a beat 'em up in my eyes." Dahl Retro Golf says, "Run and gun in one word, Contra, or Contra," as Dahl would say. Yeah, Dahl saying Bruce controls very poorly. Yeah, he does. He does. Addy Sneaker Freak saying again, we need to try the Streets of Rage 3 game of Death Hack where you play Bruce. It's really good. Yeah, I do like all the Streets of Rage remixes. I think some of them are fantastic. You can get them with Turtles and Batman and various other kind of pop culture characters, can't you? Dal says FM sound chip, which is the Master System. Underwater Level says, I know what you mean, Rob. It's hard to explain. The Master System uses more primary colors. Gib,
That's
Seb
it.
Gordon,
Yes.
yes,
It's like it does use it. Like the colors on the NES are sort of like a bit more muted, whereas the Master System does use a little bit more primary colors. It looks cleaner. There's like a cleaner look to it, compared to, like, there's a lot more jaggedness, a lot more. It looks grittier on the NES, which I tend to find appealing. You know. But
yeah.
yes, that's right. Yeah.
It's kind of the comparison, the Mega Drive versus the SNES, but the roles are reversed, aren't they?
Yes.
The Mega Drive has got
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the Mega Drive has got a much more kind of, well, like you say, a more urban look to it, I would say. And obviously,
Yeah.
it kind of goes with the sound of the Mega Drive, the bass, the kind of
Oh,
electronic
that was it
sound.
the Yamaha chip, that unmistakable sound chip, that whenever you heard the Mega Drive, that Mega Drive music, you could tell it was the Mega Drive. Oh, I love that
Yeah,
music.
yeah. I
Like,
mean,
I
in the
know
right
a
hand.
lot of people choose to try and Saigon.
Oh no, go on, Rob. Go on, carry on, mate.
No, I was just gonna say, like, a lot of people used to use the Super Nintendo sound chip to try and disrespect the Mega Drives, but for me personally, I was always like, and what? I love the Mega Drive sound chip. For me, that's not a diss. I love the Mega Drive
Yeah.
sound chip. It was awesome. It was unmistakable. I loved it.
I think in the right hands, I think the Mega Drive has got more. Um, you can listen to a Mega Drive game as in the background. Like, I'm not going to just bring up Streets of Rage, but on like just a general high quality Mega Drive game, it sounds awesome with the bass and the beats and the. Whereas a SNES game, they just sound very. Yeah, there are exceptions such as F Zero and Donkey Kong Country. They sound fantastic, but just your run of the mill kind of SNES games, it's just full of that reverb, that kind of that echo synth,
Mm,
and
mm,
it's not very pleasing personally. It's just like, and it doesn't. It's an electronic device making kind of musical instrument sounds, and it's so early in that kind of phase, it doesn't sound great. Whereas a Mega Drive
yeah.
knows it knows it's got a computerized bass. Um, yeah, Mega Drive all the way for me
Yeah,
personally. But
I was never too crazy. I was never too crazy about the Super Nintendo sound chip, but like I like it, but like it's very distinctly Super Nintendo.
yeah,
But I don't think it's necessarily better than the Mega Drive One. I just think it's different. You know, that's it.
yeah, yeah. I think it's both consoles have their pros and cons, and in the right hands, they can make it sound. It goes with each game perfectly.
Which is
But
why, which is why I actually think in that during the 16-bit era, it was actually totally worth having both consoles because they both there was so much to offer from both consoles that you would benefit from both. Like it's not like today's consoles where you can get a PlayStation and an Xbox, but all the games are exactly the same.
mm,
You know, they look the same, they sound the same. There's
yeah,
no real distinction. The only reason, you know, it'd probably be for the exclusives, but like, let's be honest now, like, it's not as much as it was back in the day. Like, back in the day, you know, you bought Aladdin on the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, you're getting two different games. I
yeah,
love that. I
yeah,
loved that aspect of it because that to me, I know some people don't like that, but I personally do because
yeah.
it gives you a reason to have both consoles.
Yeah.
You know,
They. I find that as I've got older, I just find that they complement each other very, very well.
they do.
Mega Drive
Absolutely, they
was
do.
more
Like
kind
I've
of pick up and play. SNES games tend to have a bit more depth to them, I guess. But
mm,
they do. You people, you watch these videos on YouTube in terms of people arguing, oh, what's better? Personally, I think that you can't. They're kind of they're yin and yang. They're conjoined so to
so well.
like yeah. They're inseparable. They're almost like one system, really. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, I think in terms of all the generations, those two consoles probably connect with each other the most.
Yeah.
They both just complement each other. Like, compared to other consoles from different generations. For me, Super Nintendo and Mega Drive just they go hand in hand. They complement each other so well. They were distinct enough to be just their own individual machines.
Mm.
And yeah, oh, I could go on and on about the 16-bit generation, but those two consoles, oh man, if you had both back then, you were very lucky because yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Um, so where were we? So Gibbs has said, "Have you played Steel Assault?" I've not heard of that personally.
Wait a minute, I've got it.
Is this a Switch game?
It is. It's a Switch exclusive, and I don't know why I should have put it here because it's a very distinct game. But yes, I
Yeah.
absolutely adore the game,
Yeah, I know what you.
and
Yeah.
I went out of my way to get the collector's edition from Limited Run because I downloaded this game, and so technically, it's not a running gun game, only because it's he doesn't actually fire any guns. He uses like an electro whip. So it's kind of like, so think of it more like it's Contra, but with the weapons of Castlevania.
Hmm.
You know, it's melee combat. It's not gun combat. But the level designs, the way you traverse the levels, it looks very much like a Contra game, but you use an electro whip, and you also use this very cool grappling hook, which allows you to hang on to ledges and to slide down, and it actually adds an extra element of gameplay. But yeah, this is actually a Switch exclusive, and for me, it's an absolute milestone for the Switch. It's a fantastic game that harkens back to the 16-bit era. So yeah, if you love 16-bit Contra, Castlevania, any of those sorts of games, this is a must. But it has its own unique style to it, and yeah, this is an absolute must-own. So when I get the collector's edition, that means the game really clicked for me. So yeah, this is Scott. go on eBay and get this because I mean,
Or a
don't have to
trick.
get the collector's edition, but like, but
Yes,
get the game, get the game. It's a fantastic game. I was so happy when Limited Run announced this. Like I jumped for joy, not because Limited Run announced it, but because it was getting a physical release. Because I was just waiting for someone to announce it. Um, and they took their sweet time with it as well. Actually, I actually thought it wasn't going to get one because I downloaded it like for about a year, almost just over a year before this was even announced.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a really fun game. It's a long time coming. Awesome game. Gordon is absolutely right. Amazing, amazing game.
A couple of recommendations for me then, there, Rob.
Listen,
So,
for me, within the indie scene, there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games that tie back to that 16-bit era, and in some cases, they're getting remakes like the Ninja Warriors Returns, Wild Guns. They've had some fantastic remakes. Well worth getting.
yeah. I really enjoyed the Ninja Warriors. I played that a lot on the Switch. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Really, really good. There's not as you think because it's just a single plain field. It hasn't got as much depth as like a usual beat 'em up, but there's a lot of depth to that game. Really, really good. You've got to carry on playing
There
with it.
is.
All the characters are so different as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I first started playing it, like, because I do own the Super Nintendo game, and like, it's not really my preferred style of beat 'em up. I don't really like the ones that where you can't scroll, but it's a very good game. Like, it has its charm, and I do enjoy it, and I play it quite a bit. In fact, I play it on the Switch, semi regular. I also own it digitally on the PS4 as well. So
Yeah.
like it's really fun. It's really fun. I like it. I mean, like I say, I still prefer my beat 'em ups to be side scrollers, but it's good. It still
Yeah.
works. It has its own charm. It's very good.
So we got Mike as well. So hello, yes lads, Scott and Big Rob in the house.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, hope you're well, mate. Gary Cormack, Predator 2 is another one that is next to nothing to do with the movie. I've not actually played that, to be fair.
Well, do you know what? Again, that was also a game I was almost going to put here, because it is a run and gun. He's right and he's wrong, because while you're right, it doesn't have much to do with the movie, but the character you're playing as is distinctly the character from the film, and the levels are designed to reflect the sort of crime, infested world of Predator 2. Because if anyone remembers Predator 2, it starts off with like this massive shootout with like a Colombian gang members, and you've got like the Jamaican posses, and you do take on a lot of those gangs in the streets of LA, like in the film. But yeah, it doesn't really follow the plot of the film at all. But I wouldn't say it's the same way as the Universal Soldier game,
No.
Like I think this one does have a bit more to do with Predator 2 than that Universal Soldier game, which basically had nothing to do with Universal Soldier whatsoever.
I have got a game here that I thought was a run gun, but we'll come to that. It's another licensed game. We'll come to that in a little bit because I very briefly played it, so you might know it better than I do.
Shall I finally bring up my game?
We'll get through these comments and then we'll catch up because they're streaming on. Cool. So Mike says, doesn't Alien Storm run on the Golden Axe engine? Same Streets of Rage. Yeah, I think it does.
Yes, it does.
Actraiser and Snares is one of the best soundtracks by the same guy who did Streets of Rage, Ren Shinobi. Yeah, Yuzo Koshiro did that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Gary Cormack, NES graphics look more pixel art. My system has more soft, blobby look.
I mean, it sounds like a disrespect to refer to the Master System graphics as like a soft blobby look, but I know what he's trying to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think
can't I can't I wouldn't phrase it that way, but yeah, it's definitely more of a yeah.
it's um it's the art. I suppose it's the use of the colours, isn't it? That's probably giving it that aesthetic.
Mm, yeah.
So what else have we got? We've got um, so Ross says you get Spider-Man in Sony games though. I'm not too sure what that would be referring to be honest, mate. Probably gone
Yeah,
past that point, so apologies. Um, Underwater Level says, yes, Actraiser soundtrack is so cool. Yuzo Koshiro is a great musician. Yeah. There's been a recent video by a guy, like a musician guy on YouTube. He's got over
I
like
saw that video. I know exactly which
yeah,
video you're talking about. Yeah, I saw that.
big,
Yeah.
big channel. Like he has like 2 million subscribers or 6 million something, and he was a little bit over the top, a little bit corny, but he's breaking down the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack, and it was
Mm,
fascinating to actually see a musician going through Streets of Rage 2, going, wow, this is unbelievable how he's done this on 30-year-old hardware. So
yeah.
yeah, fantastic.
It was it was crazy to me because he kept saying he'd never heard of Streets of Rage before. And
Yeah,
like so for him it was completely like brand new.
yeah,
And it was that to me just seemed really weird. But yeah. It's nice to see people that have no idea of Streets of Rage just really appreciate the music because it was fantastic, not just
yeah,
in its day, it still holds up
yeah.
today.
I think even in some respects, the Streets of Rage 3 soundtrack is probably more. It is more ambitious, and it's more complex as well. So that's probably from a musician's point of view,
Look,
probably more.
yeah, I respect it. I may not like it as much, but I do respect what Yuzo Koshiro was trying to do. And
Yeah,
while for me, I don't think it worked, but I respect him for trying because that's really what creatives need to do. They need to try stuff, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You
yeah,
know, they take chances. There are some songs on Streets of Rage 3 that I actually do like,
mm,
but on the whole, I don't like it, and for the most part. I will never say, oh, Yuzo Koshiro fell off or something like that. No, because I saw what he was trying to do, and I remember I read something somewhere that he said that why he decided he was trying to be experimental because obviously as well people need to understand that the soundtracks to Streets of Rage 1 and 2 were reflective of the music that was going on at that time.
yeah,
Whereas by the time he got to Streets of Rage 3, you know, music had changed. The music had changed. So he was just trying to switch it up, which I completely understand. And but unfortunately, it just doesn't hold up as well, you know. But I think for me, Streets of Rage 3, like for a lot of people will say that it's not, you know, the music doesn't help, but people have other issues with Streets of Rage 3. My biggest issue with Streets of Rage 3 is not even the music, it's the difficulty curve. It's far
yeah,
too hard. The
yeah,
Western release anyway, not the
yeah,
Japanese release. But the Western release is just so hard,
mm,
and it makes the game not fun to play. And the thing is, whereas I felt Streets of Rage 2 had an amazing difficulty curve. Like it's challenging. If you put it in its hardest setting, it's hard, but it's not impossible.
yeah,
Whereas I felt that Streets of Rage 3 was far more unfair.
mm,
You know,
yeah,
like I've
yeah.
never been able to get good at Streets of Rage 3.
No, no.
You know,
I never owned Streets of Rage 3 as a kid. I do remember renting it quite a number of times, and me and a friend of mine, we used to play it quite a lot, and we never got anywhere near the final few levels because just even on the easy mode, it was very challenging. But yeah, I think it gets a lot of unfair comments these days, and it's still if it was still a standalone game, it's still one of the best beat 'em ups on the system.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, without a
Yes.
shadow of doubt. But because it's following 1 and 2, potentially the best two, it's on a hide into nothing, really.
Well, I think from a gameplay standpoint, in many ways, it's superior to the
Yeah,
first two games. From a gameplay standpoint, you know, they could like, but as a whole package, yeah, it doesn't live up. But that being said, if you put it within the context of the best beat 'em ups on the Mega Drive, it's up there.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
up there because there are some other big Mega Drive beat 'em ups that might not have, you know, like certain issues that Streets of Rage 3 had, but overall they're far more mediocre than Streets of Rage 3. Streets of Rage 3, from a gameplay standpoint, it's not mediocre at all.
No, no, definitely not. Definitely not. So we've got agreed about the Mega Drive sound. It's more crisp. SNES is more muffled. Yeah, I would agree. I think the SNES is like, just going back, it's that reverb, isn't it? It's that echoey kind of twanginess, I guess. Whereas the Mega Drive has got more bass and clarity, I guess you'd say.
Mm.
The core music package on the Switch has a Mega Drive synth add-on pack.
The Korg music package.
I don't think I'm familiar with that. Korg, I think they
No,
make
neither am I.
tools, don't they? So Gibb says, lovely Steel Assault Edition.
Thank you, Gordon. Yeah, it's one of my. It's like, for me, that's one of the highlights for the Switch for me. And it's a Switch exclusive as well, which makes it even like it's a great game. Most people should play it. I was very excited when it got physically announced. But yeah, I wish it had gotten a retail release though, because that game needs to be played by more people.
Yeah.
Which for me is a real shame, you know, because there are other games on the Switch eStore which haven't got a physical release yet, which
Mm-hmm.
I think are fantastic games that I think everyone should check out. I have actually on my channel, I've put up a few trailers to these games to try and highlight them,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been meaning to put up a few more, but like yeah, there's a lot of games that are on the eShop that just have not been given physical releases that are just amazing, classic style 2D action run and gun or action platformers that just deserve people's attention, especially people our age that love the 16-bit era. It's just so many good stuff out there. You
This
know.
ties us in with the next comment. So Dylan has said,
Oh,
it's
Dylan.
limited run games. Scott won't touch it with a barge pole. I'm not against limited run, but I don't necessarily agree with a lot of their practices in terms of
Look, I'll be honest
creating.
with you. I don't like. I'll be honest with you. All these, not just limit. I know it's easy. It's easy to pick on limited run, but just this pre-ordering culture of today really gets on my tits. Like I don't like I was actually counting how many stuff I've got on pre-order right now, and I'm telling you, it's like nearly 20 games, and it's like not just on limited run, just through various other companies,
Yeah,
and it's like I'm sick of it. I'll be honest with you, I'm sick of it. I understand why it exists, but I don't like pre-ordering stuff a year in advance, 2 years in advance. I just don't
yeah,
like doing it. You know, I do it because if I want these physical games, I have to go through that process, but I don't actually like doing it. It's not something I like doing. And I try to minimize now, I minimize it as much as possible.
yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I just completely pass on through these
There's
companies.
my own thoughts on it is that I mean, personally, I don't like limited run as an organisation. I think that they've created this kind of market or this falsified demand, I guess you'd say. Um, I think there's a lot of chuff that they publish, that there's a lot of crap on the digital stores that they put out that doesn't need to be even physical, has no need to be physical. You know, you can't necessarily put a game that's costing £2 and say, right, this needs a physical release. But on the flip side, you also can't say to me that the Castlevania collection or the Contra collection would not sell if it got a mainstream publication by Konami itself. there's absolutely no need for Limited Run to do a Castlevania or a Contra collection.
But
And
do you know
Limited,
what? But do you know what? But yeah, but the thing is though, like if you were to order your copy, you'll get your copy. Like it's not
yeah,
actually like it's not like the old days where you had to be on their website in the first 5 seconds or you would miss out on
yeah,
a copy. Like if you go on the website during the pre-order period, you're going to get your copy. So it's not
yeah,
limited in that sense. So it's not. So there's no like an urge to rush out and buy it. But I think it's strange that for Konami, for whatever reason, I don't blame Limited Run for that, for with the Castlevania collections, because I think that Konami just had no interest in making retail releases for it,
yeah,
and I think Limited Run were like, oh my god, they've got these collections that they're not willing to put out physically. Of course, we're going to jump on this because we know this will sell.
yeah,
But for whatever reason, Konami had no interest in putting them out at retail, whereas they did put out at retail the Turtles collection.
I was just going to say,
Yeah, so like, I don't know why. I mean, I suppose, yeah, of course, Teenage Mutant, Ninja Turtles has more mainstream appeal, but like, I am shocked that those Castlevania collections and Contra collection
mhm.
was not given a physical release by Konami. But that's more Konami's doing than limited runs.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, I mean, I haven't purchased anything from Limited Run since, like you say, the old Wild West days where you literally had to be on their website.
well, that was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, long, long time ago, mate. And I think that probably just soured my opinion of them a little bit. But yeah, maybe they at the end of the day, good luck to them. They're making a few quid. Um, so Gib is saying, so good. So good, a bit too short, left you wanting more. I guess he's talking about, was it Stellar Assault?
Oh yeah, yeah, I have heard that. Yes, it is a short game. I've
Yeah.
not been able to complete it though. I think that game's hard. It's very much an old school game.
So Dylan's just saying hi, Rob and Scott, and all in the chat. Give saying hello to Dylan, Gordon. So the Messenger is the king of the 8 and 16-bit throwback games. It's just spot on its look and sonically too. Don't know if that's
Game That game is amazing.
does look
Again,
very
it's
very
another.
good.
It's again. That one came out during the era where you had to be there in the first 5 seconds, or you would miss out on it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I do have a physical copy of it. I do own it. It's very expensive, unfortunately. Now the physical copy does go for a lot of money now.
hmm
Um, it's one of those ones I kind of now, while it might go against my own physical edition, but like I would definitely welcome a physical re-release of that
yeah,
game for a lot of people because it's such a good game. It doesn't deserve to become an obscure title. You know,
yeah,
I mean, it's still available on the eShop. You can still get it for cheap, but that would definitely be a nice one to have physically. And I think for people like yourself, Scott, that appreciate certain styles of games, that would
hmm
definitely be up your street. And I think that would definitely be one you'd have in your collection that I think you'd like.
yeah, definitely.
But otherwise, check it out digitally. Otherwise, but yeah, that's an amazing game. I actually, that's one game I also play on and off, even now. Like I sort of I'll play it for like hours and then I'll drop it for like 2 or 3 weeks and then I'll put it on and play for hours and I'll always get a little bit further. I'll always get a little bit further each time. It's a great game, great difficulty curve as well.
Yeah. I think
But
that's a game that's really its reputation has grown over time. The Messenger,
yes,
you know, and
yes,
unfortunately, I mean, they really should probably just do a reprint. They shouldn't think, oh, we can't do a reprint just to protect our original customers. It should be open to the masses, really.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
don't think that's a reason though. I think sometimes it has to do with like whatever licensing deals are available, whatever.
yeah,
And also some of these indie devs like they really struggle. There's a there's a game one of the games I haven't brought up here, but I was referencing when I was saying there was a lot of really great games that haven't gotten physical releases. There's a game on the eShop right now called Bot Gaiden. Yeah, so like bot as in robot and Gaiden as in Ninja Gaiden. And I have the trailer to that game on my channel, so you can watch the trailer on my channel. And that game is very much inspired by classic NES Ninja Gaiden games. And what I had heard that it was developed, I think it was developed by just one person. And apparently he's been struggling with that game to even keep it on the eShop.
Really?
So yeah, so like I don't know if we'll ever see a physical release of that game, because like I don't know what the internal politics are of indie devs and how they have to deal with like these companies and stuff. But like apparently he ran into like some financial trouble or something. But it's a real shame because the game is really fun as well.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We'll just run through these comments quickly, Rob. So we've got Dylan saying, I remember in the Shoot 'em Up Junkie Complete Mega Drive shmup video, he added Atomic Runner to his list. So I guess
because of the forced level scrolling.
Yeah,
I completely understand that. That's why I didn't include it, to be honest.
Predator 2 is a cracking film, very underrated in my opinion.
Oh, I love that film. I consider it one of the underrated sequels. For me, it's up there with RoboCop 2, Ghostbusters 2, like those films that like people generally tend to think are not shit is not the word, but they just see them as lesser than. While I don't say I'm not trying to say they're as good as the originals, but they deserve more than what people say about them.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
So Dylan has said, Hyper Underwater Level said, yes, go Rob, Probotector. We'll get to that.
Shall we talk about it now?
Go on. Well, because we've digressed quite a bit, so we'll go on then.
All right. So here's my copy, Probotector, also known as Contra Hardcore for the Mega Drive. So this is my original copy that I bought as a kid. So it's funny we were talking about Streets of Rage 3 earlier, because when I bought this game, it actually came down to this or Streets of Rage 3 when I was a kid. So my mum finally relented and gave me some money to buy a new Mega Drive game. And I remember like before I went to the shop to buy this, I was just hearing the feedback from my friends, and I'd not played Streets of Rage 3. So I asked one of my friends that had. I said to him, mate, what do you think of Streets of Rage 3? Like, what's the word on it? And it was my mate that put me off it. He said to me, he goes, to be honest, mate, it's not that good. Not really feeling it at all. And because of that, I went to our price, because that's where I bought this, at our price. I went to our price and I was looking at it. And it's funny, right? Because the day I bought this, at our price, they also had The Death and Return of Superman was on the shelves. and they had Mega Man The Wily Wars was on the shelves as well.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I will never forget that now. Like, given I know how much those games go for now, I will never forget seeing those games on the shelves back then. So so anyway, so I was in the shop and I was looking at both games, and ultimately I had to go with Probotector. And the reason why I went with Probotector is because my favorite game on the Super Nintendo is Super Probotector, or Contra 3. Like, back in the day, a friend of mine who had a Super Nintendo, like every now and again we would swap consoles. So he would have a week with my Mega Drive and I'd have a week with his Super Nintendo, and he would obviously give me like a bunch of games. And one of the games was Super Probotector.
Yeah.
I honestly, if there was one game on the Super Nintendo that made me jealous, it was Super Probotector. Like, I absolutely adored it. I had so much fun with it. I loved playing it in 2-player co-op. It just, for me, that game was just like I loved it. So back in the old days, I was always just hating on the fact we never got one. And then all of a sudden, I remember reading in Mean Machine Sega that they were going to release a Probotector for the Mega Drive, and I was so happy. And I remember following the progress of the game in the magazine, and there was even one issue that had one of the characters on the front of Mean Machine Sega. So I had that issue. I remember reading it. I was so excited for the game. Now, obviously, in these pre-internet days, I had seen no footage of it. All I had was the screenshots. So when I finally got the game and I brought it home, oh my God, man, like my reaction to the first level to this game, like honestly, like it completely blew me away. If you guys can, if anyone's played this game remembers the opening level, the very first thing that happens in the first second of the game, this truck comes smashing through, killing all these enemies, and then you just suddenly jump out of the truck, and then you just start blasting away. Like honestly, like I had never been so happy in my gaming life as a child. And oh yeah, honestly, like this game lived up to me. It's actually quite different from the Super Nintendo game. It's very much a Mega Drive Probotector game, but Konami, those developers at Konami, they knew how to play to the Mega Drive strengths.
Yeah.
Because before the game came out, I remember having this conversation on the school bus and on the bus to school, and my mates were taking the piss out of me, saying, "Well, the Mega Drive can't do Mode 7. That's why you'll never see a Probotector game on the Super Nintendo, because it can't do the scaling, it can't do Mode 7, it can't do all this." And I believed them. I believed them at the time. But like the developers at Konami, they just use the Mega Drive to their strengths. All their games, they know what the Mega Drive can do, and they make sure that they implement the strengths of the Mega Drive to get the best working game they can do. And this game it has branching levels, multiple characters, the music is awesome. It has all the coolness of those other Contra games, but it has its own unique Mega Drive twist to it. And I would say for everyone, like, it's a shame that this game is expensive now, because again, I mean, granted, we have the Contra collections. This is one of the best. If I was to nitpick this game, I will say it can be a bit too hard.
Yeah.
But as a kid, like, this is one of the games I could plow through, and I'm amazed that as a kid I was awesome at this game, because now I'm absolutely shite at it. Yeah. But also, I do want to point out as well that the Japanese version of this game is actually a little bit easier. In the Japanese game, you actually have a life bar, whereas the Western release is one hit and you're dead. So, but I was actually very good at this game. So, for me, it wasn't much of a deterrent. But like, that does sort of annoy me that the Japanese version was a little bit fairer.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, this is one of my highlights to this day, and it also remains. That's why I kept it in very nice condition, because it's one of those games that was one of the reasons why I love gaming, and it's one of the reasons why I still play stuff like Steel Assault and stuff like that, because of the love of these games. So when Konami made the Contra collection, I was so happy as well. Because I love all the Contra games, but like, this one holds a special place in my heart. Awesome game.
Yeah, there's something I find there's something special about Probotector, because it's the European. It's a very kind of unique take on Contra, isn't it? It's very European, I find. I mean, I have very limited kind of exposure to the Mega Drive game. I will say that I remember speaking to Retro Dave about that, or Pincade Dave, or Capri Dave as he's known now, when he owned it, and he jogged it on a few weeks later. He just said it was too hard, just way too hard compared to the SNES version. So yeah, it is one I want to pick up, but like you say, it's you probably won't get a lot of change for £200 now, I think, for Probotector.
To be honest with you, I would like forget trying to get a physical copy of it. Like the Contra collection is the way to go. Because I'll tell you what's great about the Contra collection is that you can actually play the European versions, but in 60 hertz.
Yeah.
So like to me, that's just the best of both worlds. Because like obviously me growing up in the UK, like I didn't grow up with Contra, I grew up with Protector. So if I play the US version, it doesn't I won't say it loses its appeal, but like it's just not the same.
Mm.
So like being able to play as the robots, but still being able to play it in 60 hertz. For me, that's just an awesome. But just to have the option to play all of them, not both Contra and Pro Protector in 60 hertz, it's just the way to go. So like for me personally, I recommend to people just get the Contra collection. That's what you need. It has all the games you need, all the best games, should I say?
Yeah.
It is missing two good games, which are the PS2 ones. I think the PS2 games, Contra Shattered Soldier and Neo Contra, I think they're both really good games, and I think people should check them out as well. But in terms of the 8-bit and 16-bit games and the Game Boy games, yeah, Contra Collection's where it's at.
I found many years ago. I found Neo Contra in a charity shop for a couple of pound, and I ended up trading it with Stu Tootie, and I think I traded with him. Like this was, when we were doing trades on YouTube like 8-9 years ago, and I think he did us like a PSP at the time. But I still remember that was probably one of the best PS2 finds I've ever sort of found in a charity shop. But yeah, Neo Contra.
It took a long time. It took a long time for people to catch on to the PS2 games. They were actually fairly reasonable for a very 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 long time. Like I picked up my copies. Like I didn't buy them at retail. I bought them used, and I paid about 15 quid for I think I paid 10 for like Neo Contra and like 15 for Shattered Soldier. And you could have bought them like in CEX and stuff for like reasonable prices for a very long time, But nowadays, unfortunately, I mean, they're not super expensive. Both can be had, I think, for for about 50 quid or less. But still, it's a shame that it's a bit pricey now.
Yeah, it's a chunk of change, though, isn't it? We'll just go through a few more comments, Rob. So, Pixel Plug. So Charles Cornell was the name of the guy's channel who broke down the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack. Yeah, so that was the guy who did it. You probably search for it. Really, really good video. Thank you, Pixel Plug. Grapple Dog.
Oh, Grapple Dog is fantastic. I have that game as well physically. I would recommend that game, and I'll say this, Scott. That game, if you just look at the screenshots, okay, you'll dismiss it. You'll think it's a baby, childish-looking game, but when you actually see it in motion, or better yet, when you actually play it, it's a fantastic action platformer where you're this cartoon dog and you use a grappling hook. It has a very simple graphic style, which I think would put a lot of people off. But the gameplay is it's amazing.
Right.
It's Switch, mate. It's excellent 2D platforming, and I recommend it. There's super rare games put out a physical release a little while back. I was able to grab it, but that was after because I was unsure of the game, and I actually downloaded it digitally to check it out, and I fell in love with it. And as soon as they announced that physical, I was on that, because it was great game.
I have to check that one out. So Dylan said, to be fair, limited run games, they've got a lot better over the past few months from shipping and quality control standpoint. Standard editions have shipped pretty quick, and they've stopped putting the crap out.
We get it, Dylan. You're a limited run fanboy. We get it.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it.
He loves limited run.
There are some There are some games that ain't the best. Yeah, there is. I think Ultra Core is well worth a look. There's a physical version from Strictly Limited Games as well.
I have that. It's right here.
Rob, what haven't you got though?
Listen. When it comes to 2D games, 2D run and gun games, that's one of my genres. So more than likely, I will have it physically if it's available. Like it's just, like I say, like Probotector, Ninja Gaiden, Castlevania were just very big parts of my gaming youth.
Yeah.
So games like that, like Turrican and stuff, like those sorts of games, they're the ones that speak to me. Side-scrolling beat 'em ups and fighters. So like chances are, if they make a game like that, I'll probably own it physically. I love them.
If Konami released the collection through a different publisher / distribute, I'd get them. Yeah, I think as long as you get them, that's the main thing, isn't it? Really.
Well, but why not just buy them off eBay then? Like if it really,
Yeah.
like just get them on eBay.
Yeah.
And sometimes as well, it should be noted that while they do get like these releases through limited run for us Westerners, but you can buy like Japanese versions or Hong Kong versions, like through PlayAsia or through Amazon.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's worth looking into.
So Dylan said, I've got Ultra Core on the Mega Drive from Strictly Limited Games. A great game. Right, yeah. The soundtrack is pretty cool. It's very much got that Mega look. Mike is saying, when Limited Run started doing a few download codes in boxes, and they're supposed to be all about physical releases, that's where they went wrong and just cashed in. I don't remember them doing any download codes. Do you?
There was no, I no, but there was something about. I remember there was like the Doom. There was like a Doom release that had like various different Doom games on it, and apparently you couldn't access the games without having to open an account or some shit like that.
Right.
And people were like, "Hold on a second, so you're telling me I need to go online before I can actually play these games? What's the point? What if they shut down the servers? How am I meant to access these games?" They eventually had to. They did a recall, and I think they said that if you posted a picture of you smashing up the cartridge, they would send you a new cartridge or something like that. They did. That is actually what they did.
Fucking hell, that's ridiculous.
I know.
So I sometimes forget that I've ordered a limited run game, then out of nowhere, a year later, it turns up in the post. Happened with Cannon Dancer. The Messenger was actually a special reserve release, but limited run put it their own version with variety.
Oh cover. Yeah, they did. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, because I've got the special reserve version, but I'd forgotten that limited run also put out a version as well. Yeah, they did.
It's a bit like that's right. Streets of Rage 4, weren't it? There were quite a few publishers that were. Everyone was up in arms when limited run. They kind of did their announcement with Streets of Rage 4, and everyone thought, shit. We don't.
Yeah, that was an absolute disaster.
Yeah,
an absolute disaster. Like that should I think limited run might have learned from that now, but like because everyone was under the impression that it was only going to come out for limited run, and then shortly after they announced like the retail release, it just pissed everyone off. I remember that.
Yeah, that's bullshit. This is Dread Man, truly Dread. Laugh out loud.
Yeah, that's a line from Predator 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some great lines in Predator 2. Amazing games, technically outstanding, but bloody hard. I think Dale's referring to Contra. Amazing game. It's rock hard, but love it. Japanese version is a very expensive easy mode, which it probably is. Hardcore on the PS3 360 is magnificent. The music is sublime also. Hardcore Uprising is magnificent on PS3. Have you guys played that?
Oh, listen.
Physical release.
Listen, A Crime Against Humanity, Hardcore Uprising.
I think I've seen that on games.
Yeah, so it's basically it's part of the Contra series.
Yes.
And it actually serves as a prequel. It's a prequel to this game.
Right.
So that from a story standpoint, it's actually a prequel to this game. And yes, absolute crime against humanity. that game never got a physical release to this day. And I've actually been one of those people that's been going on Twitter, linking up with all these companies, telling them to please, please, please put that game out physically. It deserves to be out on physical release, modern systems, and not be forgotten on the PS3 and the 360. I have it on my PS3. I play it a lot. I played it the other day actually. Yes, that's a fantastic game. That's a run and gun game that everyone needs to play. Oh my god, it hurts my soul that that game doesn't have a physical release.
As a bit
Like that game is too good.
It's a bit similar to the they did a Rocket sequel, didn't they? It wasn't
Yes,
obviously
I
very
have
good,
that as well.
yeah, but that was only digital only, and that's stuck in PS3 360 era limbo as well.
It's like honestly, like certain games, they're just like it really just hurts me that they don't get physical releases and they just I don't know. I want Hardcore Uprising to come out. That's probably me right now. I would say that's my number one game I want to see physically released.
Yeah.
I love that game. It needs to come out. I'm not trying to say it's the best game ever or even the best Contra game, but it's just a game that's too good to be left on a digital service.
Yeah, no, I that does ring a bell because I think I saw it on a Game Sack episode a few months back where I think he was doing all of the Contra games, and that did he said exactly the same things. It shouldn't be on just digital only, really.
Yeah, yeah.
That brings us up to date with comments, Rob. We've got Mike who's just said, I think it was Command and Conquer with limited run games. I could be wrong, but Dylan would know what game. So I assume that's referring to the download fiasco.
Okay.
But
I've not come across it myself, so I'm not too sure.
No. Okay, we'll move on then, Rob. So this next one, I haven't actually played it, but I do think you might be able to tell us a bit more. But it's Alien 3.
Oh, good game. Yeah.
Would you class this as a run and gun?
I mean, yeah, I suppose so, but it's a lot more. But again, because I've also put it as because there is a lot more running and gunning.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also a bit of a collectathon because you are basically running around the level trying to find people to rescue them, and again, you've got like a timer, and you know you're meant to get all the people. If you don't get all the people, you can't complete the level.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is. I mean, again, it's not a traditional run and gun. You know?
No. Because
you're going back and forth in the level, you know. So it's not like you're just going from left to right. There's no constant forward momentum. Like you're going back and forth, up and down to different little areas. But the gameplay itself is basically you are running and gunning. So I'm not mad at that. No, I mean, I wouldn't put it more in the bit of a action platformer, rather than the run and gun.
It's not. I suppose it's not a traditional run and gun, is it? By the look of things, it's more like you say. It's more of a platformy type. It's a weird quirk, isn't it? It hasn't got anything on the spine. I don't know if you can really see that. It's too much glare. But there's no name on the spine.
Bit weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's a game I never played as a kid.
No, I've had it for quite a few years. I've never actually got around to playing it. It's just sat in the collection for a while. I mean that probably ties us in with the next one, another movie one, and this bad boy.
Oh,
so
one of my childhood favorites.
Yes, same here. I had this as a kid as well. I remember getting this from Woolworths, and I must have paid, I think it was about like 15 quid for it. And the thing that stood out for me was, I mean, everyone always says the gore, but you'd never seen anything like it. You'd had Mortal Kombat, but in a kind of a platformy kind of shooting game, never seen anything like it. And again, when we were saying the difference between the SNES and the Mega Drive in terms of the grittiness and the soundtrack, this is a Mega Drive game full and through, really, in terms of like the aesthetic, the music, the content as well was very Sega of that time, and that really kind of.
Yes.
Whereas the Super Nintendo one is much more kind of comic booky, based on the original comic book, whereas this is almost like a RoboCop versus Terminator film adaptation. It's
Yeah.
very dark. It's very kind of Detroit, New York, late 80s, very dingy. But what else can you say about it? What a fantastic game!
Yeah. Well,
Again,
I mean,
I would probably say the only thing that is you can just become a bullet sponge in it, whereas something like Gunstar, you can proactively avoid the bullets, whereas this you can't. You just have to kind of get through the levels as quick as possible, really.
yeah, I find the game like first off, I've never played the Super Nintendo game, so I can't really compare it. I have seen it visually, but I've not played it. But yeah, as far as the Mega Drive game, yeah, it's just I can only really play that game with cheats on. That game is like ridiculously hard. Like I think I could get to like maybe like the third or fourth level without cheats. But
Yeah,
to get any further, like I need like infinite lives or something because that game is just ridiculously hard. And as you said, like a lot of the enemies are bullet sponges, especially the bosses. Oh my god! Like if you die and you lose all your big guns and you're just stuck with your little gun,
yeah,
to try and fight a boss with your little gun takes forever,
yeah,
and it's so frustrating.
yeah.
Not because you can't beat the boss, but just because it takes so long.
And another thing about it is that there's very limited window in terms of the invincibility. So when you take damage, like in
That's
Sonic, if
right.
you lose rings, you've got 5 seconds to get more rings. With this, you've literally got a split second. So if you're stuck in the corner with the Ed 209, you just see your health go, and then he dies. So it's such a hard game. There's a lot of design features that are probably could definitely be improved on it, but as
Oh
a
yeah,
game,
yeah.
it's
I mean,
fantastic.
but like at least they had the foresight to include a lot of cheat codes because it
Yeah,
makes the
yeah,
game far more. It makes the game far more bearable. But that game is very hard, and there's a lot of cheat deaths. And you're right. I think that there's a lot of game design that could have been improved upon.
mm,
But I still really enjoyed it as a kid though.
yeah,
Like, and it still remains one of my favorite Mega Drive games. So, but yeah, I will definitely say that like if someone was to play it now, who's had no experience with it before, they might even end up hating the game because
yeah,
it's just so difficult, you know.
yeah.
So, is it of its time? Probably. You know, am I just? Is it just my nostalgia that's talking? Probably. But I still loved it. I still loved it.
Yeah, I think it plays really well. I think as well, what is very, very impressive is the Master System version as well. I don't know if you've ever seen footage of that, but it's
I have it.
very,
I have
very,
it. But
yeah,
yeah, no, visually, no. I'll say this because I own it, and I'll say this visually, it's freaking amazing. Like,
mm,
I'm like, if you squint, you'd think it was a Mega Drive game,
yeah,
but its slowdown is horrendous. Like, it is really bad. Um, like so, I struggle to really enjoy it. But then again, maybe it's because my view is tainted on the fact that I'm used to the Mega Drive version.
yeah,
So I don't know, but like I found it to be a bit of a slog, the Super Master System version. Visually, it's fantastic though. It's probably one of the best looking, if not the best looking Master System game I've ever seen.
yeah,
You know, but I think that the console was clearly struggling
yeah.
to output that kind of detail. Amazing though, very impressive.
Yeah, I think what is quite impressive as well is that despite the Master System at the time was kind of the more younger audience kind of console for younger kids, they didn't cut down on the gore aspect in any way, did they? It just matches the Mega Drive.
I think that has to do with the fact that obviously when they made this game, when they made the Master System game, the Mega Drive was already out.
Mm.
So I think because of what they were doing on the Mega Drive, I guess they kind of assumed that Master System owners, whoever still had a Master System, was probably older as well. by that point if they had a Master System from the early days. So that's probably why a lot of those games, that one, because there are quite a few mature games on the Master System. People forget that.
Mm.
You know, you got Master of Darkness, you got Ken Sidon, and these were all quite late Master System releases.
Yeah.
So, you know, the Master System was also trying to mature a little bit as well. But I definitely think that game is on the Master System is a bit more than it could handle. But you know,
Yeah.
interesting experiment, I'd say.
So we'll get on to this one as well, Rob. I reckon you'll probably have quite a lot to say about this version, but it's obviously Sunset Riders. Sorry, the glare.
Yes. Yeah.
So I always think this is Sunset Riders 0.5.
Yeah, a lot of people say the Mega Drive version is like vastly inferior to the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah.
And for various reasons. But I'll be honest with you, like, while I don't necessarily disagree, I still think people make it seem like it's really bad, and it's not. I don't know where, because like, yeah, there are some cutbacks to it, but the gameplay's solid. Like, and to me, that's what's most important. I mean, okay, so you get a choice of 2 characters as opposed to 4 characters, and those characters, there's not really much difference in those characters, to be honest with you. You know, and so like, fair enough, you don't have that. But and I think the levels, I think it's missing a few levels, and they got a few reworked levels as well, I believe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but yeah, you know, it was a cut down one. I think the biggest problem was, and I think Konami learned from that mistake, because that Sunset Riders wasn't early release, was that they used a cartridge that was smaller than it should have been.
Yeah.
I think they used an 8 megabit cartridge. Was it 8 megabits or a 4 megabit cartridge? They definitely used a low megabit cartridge when they made Sunset Riders, but they would later correct that with the later releases. So like Probotector on the Mega Drive is a 24 meg cartridge. I believe it is. Yeah, I believe it is a 24 meg cartridge. So like they did learn from their mistakes, and they realized that if they'd given it a larger megabit cartridge, they could have done a lot better job with it, but they didn't. So it is what it is. But still a fun game. Still works.
Yeah. I enjoy playing it. It's fine. It's a decent conversion. I don't think graphically it's as solid as the SNES version. I don't think it's. I think the SNES one, it matches the arcade pretty well, whereas I think Mega Drive is a little bit more of a step down.
The SNES version is a lot more faithful to the arcade original.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, the Mega Drive version is not uncensored, unlike the SNES version. You know, when you get your power ups in the Mega Drive version, the what they call the prostitutes comes out and gives you a kiss, like the arcade original. Doesn't happen in the Super Nintendo version.
That's Nintendo.
Because that matters. Because that matters.
I think at first glance, what people like, so people will always just go for the easiest, the most obvious thing that sticks out, and it's the 2 characters missing, isn't it? And it's not because there's 2 characters. It's almost your brain's thinking, oh, it's only half a game compared to the Super Nintendo.
I mean, look, I definitely know that there was it wasn't just the characters. I remember some people took issue with some of the levels. I think it was missing some levels or something like that, and I can understand that. But like, I feel that yes, it was Konami's mistake to they should have used a larger capacity memory cartridge, but it is what it is. And I thought, given the limitations that they had, they did a good job with it. You know, as good as they could have, probably. Not the best version to go for, of course, but like, what, you know, I still think it's a solid game. It works on the Mega Drive.
Yeah. I think it's a decent little conversion. It's not bad at all. But
yeah,
if you I suppose if you only wanted one, probably go for the SNES one. But there's the Mega Drive one is not cheap, but the SNES one is ridiculously expensive these days. I think it's
Yeah.
what, in excess of 350 pounds for a box complete one.
Yeah, and they're also pretty hard to get in very nice condition as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
most of the ones I've seen are pretty beat up.
Mm. Do you own it yourself?
On the Mega Drive I do. I don't own the Super Nintendo version. The Mega Drive one, I won it on an auction. You will not
Yeah,
believe how much I paid for it.
probably about £2.
No, I wish. No, I paid 16 quid for it.
Really? Wow.
And I won it on auction. And I won it. So I had two auctions going at the time on eBay, and one was this game, and the other one, oh no, I had three. Oh, I had three. I just remember this. So it was Sunset Riders, Sparkstar,
Yeah.
so Rocket Knight Adventures 2, Sparkstar, and Mega Turrican, and they were all from the same seller, but different auctions going on at the same time, and I won all three of them. And I was chuffed. I won all three of them for amazing prices. Now, I should point out that at the time that I was doing that I got these games, they were not going for the crazy money they are now, but they were still relatively expensive to what I paid for them. So I paid 16 for Sunset Riders. I paid 24, 24 quid for Mega Turrican. And I think I must have paid 30 or 35 for Sparkstar. And they were
Really?
all in lovely, lovely near mint condition.
So I thought
Yeah.
you were referring to a Facebook group auction, what they used
No,
to
no,
do.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no, no.
yeah, with
eBay, eBay.
eBay.
But this must have been back in like 2013,
Really?
something like that. Yeah, because this was like I say, in those early years of when I came on YouTube, I was very much a Mega Drive collector. I was trying to go for all those Mega Drive games that I wanted,
Yeah.
and I managed to bag them all. And at the time, the two most expensive titles on the Mega Drive that I wanted was Alien Soldier and The Punisher.
Yeah.
And I remember I paid about 100 quid for Alien Soldier, and I paid 124 quid for Punisher, which at that time, I thought was a shit ton of money. And and don't get me wrong, it is a shit ton of money, but I thought that was the most expensive I would ever pay for a game. Oh, how little did I know?
But what's the Punisher going for now? 600 quid?
Yeah, I think it goes for anywhere, depending on condition, you're looking at about anywhere between 600 to 800.
That's
I know, it's
ridiculous, isn't
insane.
it? That's
It's
ridiculous.
insane.
Yeah, but what can you do? What can you do? We'll just go through the comments quickly, Rob.
Yeah.
So where were we? We got to, I think it was Mike. Dylan was Command and Conquer. So which is best Alien 3, SNES or Mega Drive?
Do you know what? I've not played the SNES version, and it's actually one of see. Every time I go to the gaming market, that's actually one of the games I'm looking to get. So if I ever see it at a gaming market in nice condition, I will pick it up.
Yeah,
That's actually on my SNES hit list. I've not played it. I should
yeah,
play it. I mean, I've got it. I can play it on emulation, but I don't know. I've just not got around to picking it up. But I do want it.
yeah. I haven't got around to. I haven't played it myself. So worst thing about limited run Streets of Rage 4 is that it's the US version you got, so the Euro DLC doesn't work with it. Yeah, I think they did. They backtracked because I ordered it through limited run, and they backtracked because they tried to originally they said, "Oh, we don't do refunds," but they got such bad
Oh yeah, they
feedback.
got such backlash. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they
I
really did.
I cancelled because I have actually got my where is it? I've got the where did I put it? Where is it now? Should be here. I'll take this out of the way. I've got it here. The
Limited edition one.
yeah, but this is the European one.
Yeah.
I've got the this is the European one.
Yeah, I've got
from
that.
Signature Edition Games.
Yeah.
And I do have the limited run version as well, which I actually bought. Where did I put it? Oh, it's somewhere else. Oh yeah, it's up there somewhere. It's up there somewhere. But yeah. So I originally I'd ordered the Switch limited run version as well as the PS4 version, and then when they announced it, I almost cancelled my Switch version from limited run, but I decided to keep it. I don't know why, but I cancelled my PS4 version, and then later on, this is what Signature Edition released, which I still haven't opened it. Funny enough, because I play this game on the PS4 because what I ended up doing was I bought a digital release on the PlayStation 4, which is how I've completed it. Like I've got all the characters and stuff. I've gone through the game multiple times, and I kept this one sealed so far. But yeah, so I ended up getting. So I've got two versions of Streets Rage 3 on the Switch. I don't know, but like it was annoying because if I had the chance, I should have probably cancelled it. But I do like the edition because it comes like in the limited run version comes in a hard clamshell. So
Yeah.
the collector in me doesn't mind it, but obviously the gamer in me is like, why are you wasting your money, Rob? Like, just get one. But again, I will say this though, like whenever I have multiples of the same game, it's usually because that franchise speaks to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with the Contra collection and the Castlevania collection, like I generally get both. So I get one for PS4 and I get one for the Switch. Usually the Switch version will be like a collector's edition, and I'll get like a regular version for the PS4. So, but I only do that with, like I say, with just certain franchises that really, really, that's what I'm about. So, like obviously, Streets of Rage 2 is my favorite game of all time. How could I not splurge a little
Look
bit
at everything.
on Streets of Rage 4?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
had to.
I was thinking about that myself. I mean, I bought that. I bought it digitally when it came out. I bought the standard edition when it got a physical release. I bought the signature edition, and I've just bought the Switch version for Christmas for my youngest, who's got a Switch coming, and he's only 5, and he'll play the Mega Drive, but he loves playing Streets of Rage 2. And I said, all right, we'll try Streets of Rage 4, and he absolutely loves it. Absolutely loves it. So we've got him a little Switch Lite, Streets of Rage 4, and that's literally the 4th time I've bought, well, probably the 5th time actually I've bought that game.
But listen, man, but that's a justified reason though, man. Like, listen, like if I had kids, I'd do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a Streets of Rage. You think I'm not going to educate my kids on Streets of Rage? Of course, I'll buy them.
Exactly.
I'll buy them all the editions. I need to get them.
Yeah, mate. Anything that's not Minecraft or fucking, what do they call it? Fortnite. Jesus.
Fortnite, Minecraft, or Rocket League. Oh god.
Crap. So Mike's come back and said SNES RoboCop versus Terminator is a stupid sped up jump. It's crap. I got bored trying to complete it with the cheats on. It was that bad. Yeah, I don't think I've never played the SNES one.
I've heard it's not very good, but I won't go out of my way to buy it. But I definitely want to give it a play at some point.
Yeah. Gary Cormack says, I think Alien 3 is a platformer. Yeah, probably go with that as well. Mike says, Sunset Riders Mega Drive Konami cheaped out on the cart memory, hence the cutbacks. So, yeah, as you've already said, Rob.
Which is what I said, yeah.
8 mega
but they
power.
They learned from that mistake though, because they would not repeat that mistake with later games.
I suppose they were still very Nintendo orientated third party, so they probably didn't want to put all their eggs in too much of a basket, because the Mega Drive was probably still, certainly in Japan, they were probably thinking, don't want to invest too much into it. So
that's a good point. The Mega Drive was a failure in Japan, so for a Japanese company, it was a bit more of a risk to be putting that kind of money into it,
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that the
exactly.
game development there. Yeah.
SNES version 500 and not in great condition on eBay at the moment. Yeah, I think you need to look at sold listings though, Mike. I think with SNES, it's always just the cardboard, isn't it? The condition that it comes down to.
Mm.
Yes, I did see that yesterday, actually, Dale. But I think that's strictly limited, eliminate down. They want 70 euros for it though, which is obviously it's about 60 quid with the current FX rate.
I'm gonna say something a bit controversial. I think that game's a bit overrated. Like I played it on emulation. I didn't really see what all the fuss is about. I even have because it also got a digital release on modern
Yeah.
consoles, and because I'd heard so many good things about this game, and obviously it's a very expensive game. But when I played it, I was like, this game isn't all that. Like there's nothing about it that really sticks out to me. You know, I
Yeah,
personally, you know,
I mean, I like shmups or shoot 'em ups, but people just go crazy for the prices. It's almost like they are the most expensive type of game you can buy, really, aren't they? In terms of retro, you know, if you look at, I suppose,
didn't it used to be RPGs at one point? Like anything that had
yeah,
an anime character on the front, like you guarantee the price was going to shoot up on it.
yeah. I suppose
Mm.
I always think that shoot 'em ups or shmups, they're the most purest form of video games. You know, going back to Pong, sorry, not Pong, Space Invaders. You know, it is just video games in its most basic, straightforward form. Just shoot something, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I guess it's just a timeless kind of. I'm not really too into the bullet hell stuff, bullet hell shooters. I find them more. It's more about dodging the bullets rather than trying to take the enemies out. I find them quite tricky, but the old school stuff I do quite enjoy, like your Truxton
Mm.
playing in the background.
Have you tried out? Have you checked out Crisis Wing on modern consoles?
No,
That game is basically a love letter to Truxton.
right.
You should check it out. You can buy it digitally very cheap. Though there is you can get a physical release
Mm-hmm.
through PlayAsia. Um, but yeah, it's very much like I think I actually think it was developed by some of the people that made Truxton. I
Oh,
could be
really?
wrong on that. Yeah, but it's definitely a love letter to those. What's the company name that made those games? Truxton and all them games.
Oh, Compile. Was it
No,
Compile?
it was not Comp. No, it's not Compile. It was
Hang on a minute.
what's the name? That really bugs me.
Tower Plan.
Tower Plan. That's it.
Yeah.
But like it's a love letter to like those Tower Plan games.
Yes.
So like definitely check out Crisis Wing. It's a really good game. Really, really good game.
Yeah.
Very much like Truxton.
Yeah. I'll have a look at that, Rob. So Darwin's gone. He says enjoy the stream off the bed, up at 5 a.m. Yep. So thanks very much for popping in, Darl. Yeah. Always a pleasure
Yeah, I
seeing
appreciate
you.
that, Dal. Thanks for stopping by, man.
I did invite him on the stream as well, but he was like, no chance.
He's a private man. He is.
Yeah, yeah. Mike is obviously just confirming Tower Plan. So yeah, as we said, thank you. So we've got a couple more, Rob, and then we'll probably try and wrap it up, I think.
Yeah,
but
no worries.
Yeah, so one of the final ones we've got is Ranger X. So again, probably not a traditional run and gun. But I was talking to Doe about this at the London Retro Market because he got rid of his copy, and he said he couldn't get used to it. He says just too much going on the screen, and it is quite a complicated control system in terms of basically you control two mechs at once, don't you?
Yeah, I would say that it's definitely one of the coolest games on the Mega Drive. I own it. I think it's fantastic. It's definitely to my sensibilities. It's not strictly a run and gun game, but it does very much have levels like that.
Yeah.
I would actually put it in that same category. Like if I was to put them on the shelf together, it would be sitting alongside Gunstar Heroes and Pro Protector.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a little bit different, and like I do think it's a Marmite game as well. As cool as it is, I can see people having issues with it, and again, because it does require you to use a bit more buttons, and it's just not as straightforward
No.
as compared to other titles. It reminds me, like, I'm not saying it's like Midnight Resistance, but it's like Midnight Resistance in the sense that the control scheme is a little bit different. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it does take some getting used to. But I never really struggled with it. Like I never like when you split off, because you have like a ground level unit and then you can sort of come up and fly around.
Yeah.
Like I personally never really. It didn't take much for me to adjust to it. But I think for some people, because when it gets a bit hectic, it
Hmm.
can be tough. But
Yeah.
it's not a game that I necessarily think is like super hard or anything. Like this is not like RoboCop versus Terminator.
No, 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 no.
You know.
One, I found that this has actually still remained quite reasonable as well, considering it's like a Japanese, very Japanese centric game.
Do you know
Didn't,
what? That was a 15 quid game for like years.
yeah,
Like it was one of those games that despite the really cool artwork and the type of game that it was,
yeah,
it remained an affordable game for like a very long time. A
yeah,
very, very long time. Like even when I bought my copy, I bought it very late in the day. So, you know, I know people have caught onto it since, but I was surprised that it wasn't one of the ones that was already quite pricey in the early days.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's an absolutely beautiful game on the Mega Drive. I think it's such a nice game. I think it works really well with that faster processor the Mega Drive's got, because there's so much going on. You couldn't really imagine this running on the SNES to a degree, not without significant slowdown. But the aesthetic in it as well, like that kind of dystopian future, fits it so well. I think that it would come back to the grittiness again, isn't it? It's that Mega Drive, the sound, the visuals. In some ways, yeah, the Mega Drive doesn't have as many colors on screen, but that works to its advantage with certain bleak kind of looking games. If that makes kind of a sense.
Well, I think when systems have limitations, it forces the developers to get creative,
Yeah,
and I feel that's a good thing, you know, because we've had like from you know the 8-bit era, 16-bit, 32-bit era, a lot of developers got really creative
yeah,
trying to like get the most out of the systems, you know, or when they were trying to do like the arcade ports and stuff, they got very, very creative.
yeah,
So you know, I like I said, like, it's like we was talking about Pro Protector on the Mega Drive. You know, like when the developers know how to use the strengths of that particular console, you just get some amazing results.
hmm,
And it's a shame because I do remember that Ranger X was a game that sort of came out and sort of got overlooked because it was quite a late release as well.
yeah,
I think it came out in '94 or around or 90, like it came out around. I think the PlayStation was already out. It was about to come out.
yeah. 93 it come out. I mean, it's not Blue Spine.
Oh, '93, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
Blue.
that's a good point. It sort of got ignored.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
I think the reviews for it were like good reviews. They got good reviews, but I guess it just didn't appeal to a lot of people.
nah. It's a very Japanese game, isn't it? It's a very kind of mech, you know,
Mm.
futuristic. It might not have appealed to Western kind of audiences, I think, but I think it's great. Really like it. I love the aesthetic
Yeah.
more probably than the actual game. I think it's such a nice looking game.
Same. I have to agree. Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just go through the
For
comments.
me, yeah.
No, go on,
For me, it's no. I was just gonna say, for me, it's one. If you have a Mega Drive collection,
yeah,
that one speaks to me. That would be, definitely be in my collection.
yeah, definitely
Sure.
one that stands out. So where were we? Yeah, so Mike's saying we always used to enjoy Dull's channel. Yeah, so Dull's kind of stepped away from YouTube a little bit. It's well, he has altogether really. One of
Oh,
the old
he stepped
school.
away completely. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the old school, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Had a lovely Japanese collection. He still does. Still has got absolute loads of it. I grew up in the arcades playing shoot 'em ups. It always killed me that Gradius and R-type games never made it to the Mega Drive. Yeah, yeah. Certainly.
Do you know?
R-Type.
Do you know what? I was just gonna say, like, at the time, it never really, I never really gave it much thought. But because Super R-Type was one of the first shooters I played, like, ever. So but I never really gave it much thought because there was an R-Type on the Master System.
Yeah. Really good version. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think did Gradius come out on the NES?
Yes. Yeah.
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 So it is.
I think it may have just come down to that whole Japanese, very Nintendo centric. I mean, certainly R-Type and Gradius, they were probably more Nintendo based brands, I guess, weren't they? Really, and I guess with the Mega Drive not punching in Japan, it might have just been not worthwhile to do it, I guess, really. But
Yeah, I think because the shooters were not popular in the West during the 16-bit era as well.
no, very niche.
Yeah.
So Mike says, Gary, have you seen the new R-Type on the Mega Drive?
Yes, I have seen it.
Yeah. Artwork on that Ranger X is nice. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Gold, I've got a very special edition for you. So I had, so this was 2 copies of CX. I think you might have seen this, Rob, at some point. I've ordered a few copies from CX. So that's the second one that come through, but I ended up scanning that one and then punting that one back into CX, unfortunately. So, but this one,
yes,
was the original.
I'm glad you kept it though, because that was like the most sun faded thing I've ever seen.
Oh, look at it! It's just.
I know.
That's the wrong side.
It's a real shame because aside from the sun fade, it looks like a very clean condition insert.
I mean, even in black and white, it still looks pretty cool. To be fair,
it does look pretty cool. It does. I'm not gonna lie. I understand why you kept it.
So what I did, I just scanned that one, and I know someone's going to obviously pick up a fake. But the problem is, if I took that back to CX, they wouldn't accept it. They'd probably dispute it, unless they had photos of it. But they shouldn't have sold that. Just it's too far gone.
It's the one thing that's always sort of annoyed me is that how they used to make this big hoopla about trading and stuff with scratches and stuff, and yet they sold like so much of that shit. It's like, because I remember when I used to try and trade in this stuff, and the guy would be like on my case about one DVD that had like a minor little scratch on it, but yet I'm just seeing a bunch of shit in there with like tons of scratches in it. I used to find that infuriating.
Yeah. They're a necessary evil, in terms of they get stuff in. It makes it very easy to obtain stuff through them. I mean, certainly if you do wheel and deal with the boot sales and charity shops, it can be very, very fruitful. But on the flip side, dealing with them can be quite difficult and frustrating. A good example is I went into CX in Lakeside a couple of weeks back to trade this in. Where was it? So I bought this. This was just on eBay. It's a box. I mean, it's not great condition, but it's super R-Type, and it was unboxed, and it had the manual. I only wanted it for the manual, but I mean, it's worn, but it's complete. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just
to be honest, like Nintendo cardboard is very hard to keep clean. As long as I always think like because I've got mine as well. Where is it? I've got it here. I've got it up here, but it's like in the back somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought mine. I bought mine in a slightly different time, but like I think nowadays, as long as the box is solid, you know, and there's like everything is not, there's nothing completely ripped from it. I don't see the issue, you know. It's cardboard.
But
it doesn't have to be minty.
So there's a big price difference. So they tried to take that in as unboxed, and unboxed they give you £4 for just the cart only. When you class it as boxed, they give you, I think it was £35 boxed. So that's a £30 difference. It was only when
I wouldn't trade it in then. Yeah.
It was only when I said to the girl behind the till, because I said, "What?" Like she told me, "Oh, it's whatever it was," and I was like, "That's like whatever." And she was like, "Oh, no, it's £4." And I said, "Well, what? You're classing that as unboxed then?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's just because it's like too rough." And I thought to myself, "Yeah, but you haven't told me that you're classing that as unboxed. It's only because I know what the value is." I thought that was really devious.
It is devious. Yeah.
Yeah. So I walked out and I gave her a dirty look. She's probably thinking, get it for herself or one of the other staff.
To be honest, but to be honest, half of them don't even care. You know, these are they're not experts in this stuff. You know, we always got to remember that CEX their main trade is not retro games.
No.
So
they probably make more money from cameras than retro. So we'll
they make more money off electronics by far.
Yeah.
Let's crack on.
Yeah. So he says, "Yeah, I've seen R-Type on the Mega Drive. Looks very promising. Near Arcade Perfect. Master System exclusive level as well. Yep, seen that remake. Excellent. Super stage music. Just talk about R-Type. Oh, nice. Black and white noir edition. Yeah. So if you find yourself a loose copy of Ranger X scored, you can have my noir edition. It's yours, mate. CX is proper Russian roulette when you order online. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I've done very, very well in terms of you get some stuff which is you can't understand why they wouldn't class it as mint, and others where it's just like it's going straight back. So yeah.
I think with later consoles it's not so bad. Like with PS3, PS2, like your success rate is a lot higher. But with all the cardboard stuff, Mega Drive stuff, then
no.
I personally don't like to use them for that kind of thing.
Yeah. I've called it. Oh, we've got Marcus. Marcus, hope you're good, mate. I did watch your
Marcus.
I don't know if you've seen Marcus's latest video. It was he did a tour of his
the PVM collection.
He's got 17 of these.
No, I haven't seen it yet. Oh, do you know what? I would actually like to see a layout of his house because it looks massive.
Yeah.
Like his little game room alone, and then I saw his gym. Oh my lord!
Because he lives up north, mate. You can buy a castle up north for like a few quid. Not like us Southerners.
Got to work much that's the case. Yeah.
No, but good luck to Marcus. You know, lovely CRTs you had there, mate. What else we've got? Gibbs. I hate dealing with local CX mainly because I'm quite shy and I don't like confrontation. You're a Rangers fan, mate. You love confrontation. That comes with your that comes with the Rangers DNA. Marcus, there we go, Dad and lads. All move up here, lads. Yeah, maybe one day, mate. all my work's down here, unfortunately, mate. So Rob, we'll come to the final game that I've got, and probably the best to last. But
Yeah.
we've got Gunstar Heroes. I mean, obviously, what else can you say about this game? It probably is the
It's classic.
quintessential, whatever the same frame is, Mega Drive run and gun. In terms of, it ticks every boxes, I think.
I'll say this though. I still prefer Pro Protector.
Really?
That's just me. Yeah, like I don't get me wrong. I fucking love Gunstar Heroes, but like, never fully. Oops. I never fully connected with it compared to like Pro Protector.
I don't know.
Did I cut off?
No, you're still there, mate. You're still there. So
Okay.
for me, I find this more approachable than Pro Protector. It's not as long. There's only obviously 4 levels, and one of them is that famous dice game where it's just the bosses one after the other. But I find this is far more easier to just pick up. Maybe because it's not one hit kills whereas Pro Protector is. But yeah, absolutely love this game. I think playing it back in the day was just the amount of stuff going on the screen at once that sort of left that lasting impression in your mind in terms of, 10, 12, 13 enemies with bullets, backgrounds, your character, your co-op character, the explosions. It's just, your eyes just pop at it in terms of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's visually it's lovely. I love the cartoony aspect of it. I mean, I love Treasure. Treasure've always had this very, very good knack for like unique character designs, like the enemy designs, the bosses, the levels, all very colourful and interesting. Yeah, I think for me it's more of, I mean, as a run and gun, it's amazing. The fact that the different weapons that you can get, because obviously you've got the choice of the 2 characters. I think it's just red and blue, as they're known, and they both have their own individual weapons, I believe. It's been a while since I've played it, so I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah.
I will admit though, I was not a fan of the boss rush dice mode game.
No.
Well, that I found that very frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's probably why I've not been able to complete the game. Let's go back to it actually.
Yeah. That boss rush mode, it's just very it's just cheapening out, isn't it? It just saves them having to design more. It's not a long game. It's quite a short game, really.
It's basically padding.
Yeah.
They're padding out a game to make it seem like longer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically
but I still fall victim to its charms. It's a very charming game. It's very playable, and I loved the games that Treasure put out on the Mega Drive. So for me, it will always be a winner. But like, I don't know, like I will just always prefer Contra. In like, I just love the grittiness of Contra. Although the Gunstar, have you played the follow-up to Gunstar Heroes on the Game Boy Advance?
Yes, yeah, but only on emulation through the Xbox. It's good. Okay. I don't think it's as good as the Mega Drive one. Maybe the sprites are just a little bit too big in terms of like the screen.
Well, because it was made for the handheld, so it has unfortunately those drawbacks that you would expect from a handheld game. But when you play it on a Game Boy Advance, though, it's a lot of fun. It really is. Yeah, it's not as good as the original, but still, it's nice that we even got a sequel at all.
Yeah.
You know, and there was even a sequel to Guardian Heroes on the Game Boy Advance as well.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and I think Treasure always said that they would never return to. They had something like an unwritten rule saying that they never returned to the same game twice, or they never did sequels, did they? There was something about that. Obviously, they did.
I'd not heard that, but when you think about it, you're right. Although they did make, because they Treasure developed a fighting game, a one-on-one fighter based on the Bleach anime for the
Oh yeah,
DS,
yes.
and there was two games. There was two games on the DS. They're really good games as well. Really good fighters. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they felt they had more to say, but I just thought it was an odd choice to do it on the Game Boy Advance though, rather
Yeah.
than say the PlayStation. But then I suppose it was probably more. It was probably more easier to convince the higher ups to let them release a 2D game on the Game Boy Advance than say on the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, because we all know what the general consensus was at that time with those consoles and 2D games.
Yeah.
But going back to Gunstar Heroes, yeah, I think it's a great game.
Yeah.
And definitely up there. And
I
I can't be mad at you. Sorry, God.
was gonna say, have you got Rapid Reload on the
I
PS1?
do. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Let's see if I've got it right here. It's probably in the back. It's probably in the back row somewhere. But yeah. I do have it though.
That's very Gunstar inspired. I find.
I do have also the 3D control.
Yeah.
This is not a good game, although I quite like it. It's a top down, but I actually managed to get it with the. It even came with the 3D glasses. Yeah.
that came out on Saturn, didn't it? Didn't get a PAL release though.
Yeah, and there was also a follow-up that never got a European release.
Really?
Yeah, which is a real shame. I mean, don't get me wrong though, the two games on the 32-bit consoles are definitely the weakest in the entire series.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. I play it from time to time. But as far as Rapid Reload, yes, that I was going to try and work that game into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing game.
Yeah.
And that was actually a game I tried to get back in the day when the PlayStation 1 was current, and I could never find it in the shops. Like I remember I tried to find it, couldn't find it anywhere. So I never got it. But then obviously when I started picking up for the PlayStation 1 again, I managed to grab myself a copy. And it's definitely very much like Gunstar Heroes. It takes a lot of inspiration from Gunstar Heroes.
I guess you've tried CT Special Forces as well. That's more Metal Slug inspired on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I have one of them on the Game Boy Advance, and I have another one on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, I always kind of felt that referring to them as Metal Slug games as not quite accurate either, because they're a little bit slower paced.
Yeah.
And they're good games, but they are run and gunners, sort of. I would say they're more walk and gunners. Only because it's not quite as fast paced. They visually they kind of resemble Metal Slug, but I don't think they look quite as nice as Metal Slug. Not by a long shot. But they're yeah. Yes, they are run and gun games, but I
think when they come out, they were more sort of budget releases, weren't they? They weren't kind of big budget games, but they were definitely kind of inspired by Metal Slug. They kind of just did their own spin on it, but they're cool games. They're quite unique.
They are good games. No, they're cool games, but I don't think that if someone gave you a CT Special Forces to kind of scratch that Metal Slug itch, I think you'll come away a bit disappointed.
Yeah. It's an interesting take on it, though. We'll just go through the comments quickly, Rob, as well. So Dad and lads all move up here. Penalty to Rangers. So I know you're not into your football, Rob, but basically Rangers are a Scottish team, and it's almost laughable because they get a penalty every game. It's kind of like borderline corruption up there, I would say. Um, so you can buy a hotel up here for a few quid. Just ask Trump. Well, yeah, he has got quite a few hotels up north of the border, hasn't he? Called Dad and lads, ha ha ha. Have you mentioned Alien Soldier? So no, I do actually have a list of.
It's weird, right? We brought it up a couple of. I brought it up a couple of times, but we didn't actually talk about it. Funny enough.
Yeah. I was going to come on to like a kind of honourable mentions in terms of games that I haven't physically got. And so Gary's just saying I ordered King of Fighters 13 for the 360 from CX, and they just sent the game with bonus disc in the box and no. Also, they sent the game with bonus disc in the box and no game disc. So that doesn't surprise me, to be fair. And the problem is, I hope you got your money back because they will argue until they're blue in the face that they would never make a mistake like that as well. A bit of a random question. Are you Scott from Galaxy Sega? So no, that's probably Scott Brand that you're thinking of, Gary, Sega Zombie. My channel's Sega Saturn Lad. I've been doing YouTube for quite some time, but yeah, predominantly it's a very quiet channel now. The kind of the pickups videos of, like, for many of us, have all kind of dried up a little bit, really. So yeah, that's my channel, Sega Saturn Lad. But yeah, Scott Brand, Sega Zombie.
Give me 1 sec, man. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, that's all right. Go on, Rob. So Gary's saying apparently M2 wanted to release R-Type Leo on the Mega Drive back in the day, but Sega instead had them port the Gunstar Heroes to the Game Gear, which was an excellent port. Yeah, that really was very, very impressive on the Game Gear. Kind of surprising it didn't come out on the Master System. Gordon, Sega, Zombieland, Lad. Yeah, not the first time I've been confused with Scott Brand. Obviously, Scott is far more dashing and handsome than I am as well. And final comment we've got, love of pickups. I do enjoy pickups videos still, Gordon, but I think certainly pickups videos have probably died off a little bit in the last, I would say, in the last 3 or 4 years. I think pickups video. When I first started doing it, and probably when Rob first started coming into YouTube, a pickups video was kind of like a weekly thing for many of us. But I think I just think they've kind of died out a little bit. But I do enjoy a pickups video. It's a shame that we don't do them more often, really. Obviously, mate, it's everything, isn't it? It's cost of living, money, disposal money, and people don't have as much of it. So yeah, I guess that probably affects it as well. So that brings us up to date then, Rob, with the comments. I was just going to say, just run through some honourable mentions as well. So we said about Mega Turricane. That's a fantastic game.
Awesome game.
Yeah, really, really good. Probably the best version of it as well, I think. From a console perspective, it worked. I think it's better than the SNES version. It's really, really good.
I actually really like the I think it's Turrican 2 on the SNES.
Yeah.
Super Turrican 2. Like, because I have the Turrican Anthology collection on the Switch, which basically has all the Turrican games. And I've always really liked the Super Nintendo ones. The Mega Drive one is freaking awesome. I'd say the Mega Drive one's probably peak classic Turrican, whereas the Super Nintendo games, more so the second one, it's not really a Turrican game. It kind of plays more like a country game. The second Turrican game, which is probably why I like it so much. but yeah, go on.
I was going to say Alien Soldier. I mean, to be honest, that's probably out my price range in terms of Mega Drive games now. I don't think I would look at spending £400 plus on a Mega Drive game. I think that's just too much. I can stomach maybe doing £100, but 400 is just it's kind of in that that category of your Superman, your Mega Man, your Punisher. It's that echelon of kind of Mega Drive games that are kind of like the holy trinity of Mega Drive games that is just beyond kind of reasonable funds, I guess, really now.
Yeah.
But as a game, it's a very interesting concept, like in terms of very unusual, but very, very treasure.
Yeah, I'd be honest with you. I've struggled to fully get with it because it's more of a boss rush game.
Yeah.
It's the few run and gun sections are very short, and it's mostly really about fighting bosses. And I find it very hard. And the controls are quite tricky to get to grips with. It's not quite
Yeah.
straightforward either.
Yeah.
It's not really one of my favorites. It's not one of my favorite treasure games. And it's not one of my favorite run and guns either because I find it very, very tricky. It's cool. Visually, I find it very cool. Um, I applaud Treasure for the game, and but it doesn't really scratch that run and gun itch for me. Like, but it, I think the game again it's like Ranger X. I think it's a bit of a Marmite game.
Yeah.
And I think what will put a lot of people off are just the tricky controls because there's a lot to do in it. It's not as straightforward as you would expect. Like if you just watch gameplay of it, like you think it would be a lot more straightforward, but it really isn't.
No, it's not.
So,
It's not. And I think when you no, go on, Rob.
No, I was just gonna say that for its price tag, like if you were to try and get a physical copy, I would definitely recommend people to try it out on emulation first.
Well, it comes on the Mega Drive Mini 2, doesn't it? So
It does, yeah.
yeah, so that's probably a good kind of official way of playing it. But it's a lot of money to whack down on a game that, like you say, a Marmite game, unless you're like a full kind of set collector or
this is the thing. Like back when I was picking up for the Mega Drive, I was going for the titles that just appealed to me, and at that time it was still expensive. It was £100 game, and that for me, I would say it was still worth it. But like more than that now, and if it's not a game that you're 100% sure on, I just don't think it's worth getting. If like unless like you said, like if you're a full set collector, then fine. But like if you're just trying to get a nice curated collection of the best games, I would definitely recommend playing it first through other means before shelling out the dough to see how you feel about it.
Yeah. I think your money could probably be spent elsewhere in the Mega Drive library, and you'd get more enjoyment in that respect, really. But
yeah,
more power to you if you can get it. I also said about eSWAT as well.
I like it. I mean, it's an early game, but no, it's more of an action platformer.
Yeah, I find it quite frustrating myself. It's obviously it's a very early game, isn't it? It's very kind of basic, that crossover between 8 and 16-bit, not quite full Mega Drive, but
yeah,
there or thereabouts.
I like it. I like the game.
Vector Man.
Cool, yeah. Again, I would sort of put it more as a action platformer than a true run and gun, but I think it's good. I like the sequel as well. The sequel never came out over here, but you can play it. I think they're good. The only thing I don't like about those games is that visually I find it unappealing.
Yeah.
Like, because I get what they were trying to do, and because they were trying to bridge that gap between 2D and 3D, because obviously when those games were made, I think the PS1 was out, and they were trying to they were trying to get that kind of 3D look to it and stuff. But that early sort of look, I don't know. I just don't find it very appealing to me, even though it's a 2D game through and through.
I think when Donkey Kong Country come out, it caught Sega a moment of doubt, didn't they? They didn't really have an answer to Donkey Kong. So I think Vector Man was kind of that answer into, oh, look, we can do pre-rendered graphics as well, even though the game wasn't as good as such. But yeah, it's an interesting late release, really.
I think the games as games they work. You know, they're
Yeah,
they're fun, but I just visually it's not Donkey Kong Country because at least while the Donkey Kong Country they may have been pre-rendered, but at least they had like some detail to them. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I'd go along with that. Demolition Man,
I didn't like it. I had it.
no,
I briefly owned it and I moved it on. I think because it has like top-down sections as well as
yeah,
side-scrolling sections.
yeah, yeah,
Um, it was fine. I mean, I wouldn't be against even owning it again if I found it for a good price. But like,
mhm,
but I don't know. Like it because I love the movie. Like I love
yeah.
that movie. But the game I don't know. It was just kind of it was fine. I like I wasn't blown away by it. Um, it was cool in places, but I felt the 2D side scrolling felt a bit stiff.
Mm.
Um, for my liking, but it was still good. But I don't think it's worth the going rate for it.
No, I've never played it myself, but it again it comes into that category of it's a very expensive game for probably quite an average game now.
It
I think
should.
it's
I don't know
in
why. I
excess
don't
of
know why it's
200.
so expensive. Like it's that game at most should be a 30 to 40 quid game.
Yeah, yeah. Don't really know why it's gone to that level. Really, it's just I don't know if it's just limited numbers or why do any of
Probably.
these games get that price?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the final one as well is the Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Oh, do you know what? I completely forgot about that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I have that.
yeah, nice.
I have that. I have that game. I back when it was affordable. I think I paid 20. I think I bought it for £24 on eBay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like
That
two
game
hundred
is
£4 now.
nah, that's insane, man. That game is so hard though. I
Yeah,
can't even get off the first level. That game is rock hard. Like I don't get me wrong. Like I own it. I still have it, and I love it because it's Batman, and I love the animated series. But I'll be honest with you, if that had been any other license that I didn't care for, I would have moved that game on because it's too bloody hard.
yeah. I mean, it looks amazing. Again, it's a bit like Jurassic Park, Lost World, where it's such a late release. They've got the
Mm,
Mega Drive singing like, and when you compare that to something like eSWAT, it's like it don't even look like it's running on the same system.
it's
But
true.
everything about it is just it looks ridiculously hard. But yeah,
I love everything about it, but it's just so damn hard.
yeah,
Like like if it was a little bit easier, it would definitely be up there with one of my all-time favorite Mega Drive games. But like, it is ridiculously hard.
yeah, yeah.
Like it is punishing. Doesn't let up. Does not let up.
Again, a lot of money to whack down. Try before you buy. I think with that one.
Well, I'd definitely try before you buy because that like
Yeah,
you're not going to get nowhere in it if you spend that kind of money. But then again, people who spend that kind of money are buying it for collection purposes.
yeah.
Not so much to play, but still, I want to at least be able to see two levels of it.
All right, we'll just go through a few of the comments, mate, then we'll wrap it up. But we've got
Cool.
Marcus saying pickups videos are great. Gordon, bad for your wallet though. Yeah, they are. We do love a pickups video, but they're a dying breed. So do you guys play 16 or 8-bit consoles on CRTs? So for me, I've got a Bang& Olufsen MX 4000, I think, and a Sony KV14 behind us. The Bang& Olufsen basically has well, yeah, I use both of them. I have used upscalers before. I used to have a XRGB Mini, the Framemeister. I think it's overly complicated. It offered a fantastic picture, but it was overly complicated. But I think I've had the CRTs for about 5 years now, and I think you can get things like the Retro Tink and the OSSC, which have made it a lot simpler and also a lot cheaper to get into playing games on modern screens. But yeah, I don't think you can beat a CRT, to be honest. But again, like we were saying earlier, it's not going to last forever. The tech isn't and they're literally not making them anymore because it's just they're too environmentally damaging to make them and even recycle them as well.
Yeah, I don't have one. The TV you see behind me, that one still has a SCART connection, so it
Yeah.
does upscale. But plus, if I use my Mega Drive on it, because I have one of those retro gaming cables for the Mega Drive, it looks amazing.
Mm.
I do own an OSSC as well.
Yeah.
So like if I need to run something else for it, it looks great. But my Mega Drive without the OSSC, but just through the SCART connection and with a good cable, looks fantastic on this TV. It's fine, no issues at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all
That's
about the
fine.
right cables as well. Sometimes you
Yeah.
can get
Yeah.
really bad cables.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. If you get some Chinese $2.99 ones, then yeah, just
Yeah. The cable I bought cost me like 30 quid. Like expensive as fuck, man.
yeah. Those retro gaming
But worth
cables,
it. Worth it though.
they're not cheap though. Marcus really likes
Yeah, but they're worth
eSWAT.
it though. They're really good.
Yeah, they are. Marcus really likes eSWAT. It's not a bad game.
I like it.
So Gordon says, I've got Alien Soldier in a bundle that also included a pricey hockey game for the Master System for the price of a case of Tennants and a bottle of Baileys. Oh, you still got
Yeah,
it?
I think I remember him making a video about that. I think I remember seeing that.
Nice. Car only though.
Yeah, it was a car only. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Still,
All right.
a car only would be worth a lot of money as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a few £100, I'd imagine. Still. All right, Rob, we'll wrap it up, mate, because it's. I'm sure you need to get to bed. You've probably had a very long day, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. Always a pleasure, and never a chore. And the topic has been very, very interesting. I think it's been really good.
Yeah. No, thanks for inviting me on, man. I'm glad we got around to it. And
Yeah,
still need to come around your house though.
yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. I know it was just all a bit short notice in terms of trying to get people around. That's cool, man. All right, so we've got Hockey came back. Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Gordon. Thanks everyone who's watching. If you left a comment, all well and good. Thanks for tuning in. We'll let you go. All right, take care, guys. See you later.
There's man.